phone over there or is it over here?
It's over there.
That's right. I don't fucking need it. I think it's off. Okay. I actually got flagged today on stories.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I've been meaning to. I wanted to bring it up since we've
You
been
posted
together.
nudes, Nick?
Oh no, I actually saw your story,
And then it went away?
and then it went away.
Yes.
It was
What
that
happened?
commercial, that Michael Jordan.
The Michael
thing,
Jordan
right? Yeah.
commercial. Instagram flagged it and
Why?
removed it in countries because of the background music on the. So now
they're
doing,
really strict with that.
They're doing it in stories now.
So hold on a second. The background music isn't okay, but I can post the Spotify music and
That's
it's
what I
fine.
don't understand.
Okay.
Well, because it sort of gives the
Yeah, I
song
guess.
credit, and you could press on it. You could.
All right, I'll give
will
it that.
direct you to.
I'll
iTunes.
happily give credit to the artists
Yeah.
because I understand how long it takes to make
Yeah.
songs and music and come up with everything and do everything. But I personally think it's absurd that you're just not allowed to use any popular songs because of licensing agreements and how greedy the bigger corporations are with pinching every single dollar they can out of each recording.
Yeah.
You know what? I get not being able to monetize it, but not being able to make content with it is stupid. Like if I'm gonna say I make a video that's lyrics and I just put Nick's new hit on there, and I just put the lyrics in there for people to listen to, and that's clearly me taking away from the company making money. But if I have a fitness video coming up with the heavy metal song and I put the title of the song in there for people to find, I can't put ad revenue on there,
Yeah.
which sucks. I
Or
get
maybe
it,
just
but it
maybe
sucks.
what if you could split it? I think it'd be fair if a certain portion of it went to the artist, as opposed to them saying we choose the right to take down the actual music and your video, or completely monetize it and we make all the money. What about if it was like a fair exchange? If the views hit a certain amount,
Yeah.
That'd be good.
It's one of those things that you could really debate all day. But I think you could really blame Metallica and the Napster fiasco back in the day. They kind of started.
is that
the
what
whole,
started it?
Yeah. You guys remember that?
No, I don't.
Not really.
Oh my
I
god! yeah.
remember
Well, you
Napster.
remember Napster, right?
Yeah.
So Metallica was the one band that really started the whole like big lawsuit against them, and it was like a huge fiasco and pretty much brought them down. That they were offering everything for free. You remember at the time, like
Yes.
you could download any song and
Remember LimeWire
Well, LimeWire came after.
and Kaza,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Are we like just is this a pirating episode? it's all illegal shit that you used to be able to do in the early 2000s, late 90s.
Black market, send a check.
Yeah.
For real though, I would spend so much time on LimeWire just downloading all kinds of music and then trying to make those songs my ringtone on my Razor.
Yeah.
But just the files just weren't correct and
It turned every 12-year-old into a hacker.
yeah, for real.
And the only way you could listen to the songs is if you burned it onto a CD.
Yes.
There were, even though they were technically MP3s, you couldn't. This was before the iPod.
You had to put them onto I remember that. You had to
Yeah.
put them onto a CD and then burn them to iTunes.
Right.
Imagine how many fucking CDs are just sitting
Oh my
around
God,
a waste facility because of how much shit we
Yeah.
just went through.
Yeah. Well, back in the day when I was in high school, I was like a big heavy metal fan. So I actually still have a box, some in a closet in my apartment that has all of my original CDs.
Really?
And I must have probably 100 of all these
Damn.
crazy heavy metal bands, that I used to listen to.
You gotta. I know that's awesome. They have a. You'd have to figure out some type of a service. I know it's great that we have Apple Music and shit, but Tidal was or is because they're still around. That's Jay-Z's company that he partnered with for music. Tidal offers lossless quality songs as if you're listening to CDs.
Wow.
So they have a high
cool.
they have a high fidelity option
Yeah.
when you're selecting your plan. So this way, if you have high end, when I was doing home automation and speakers, we used to have clients get Tidal because we'd have $100,000 speakers in their home, and you're not going to have a regular MP3 playing through those speakers.
Yeah.
Because what's the point?
Right.
Right.
So they want that lossless quality.
Yeah. I'm just hoping that, one day when I'm 75 years old, I'll still have that box and it'll be worth something.
Yo, Vlad's gonna be head banging and deadlifting. I can already see it.
Well, it's going to be trying to find a cassette player right now. Going, I have these cassettes when you're 90.
Yeah.
It's now, where the fuck am I going to plug this in?
I know. I know.
real, man.
Technology is really flying at a pace that we can't even keep up with.
Oh, it's unreal.
It's insane.
Every 6 months, I look at a new piece of gear that outdated something that was top of the line when I purchased it, and I'm just sitting here well, that was great. That was thousands, and now it's this next one is actually $1,000 cheaper because they know how to make it more efficiently this year.
Well, look at televisions, right? Televisions should be stupid expensive. Now they're ridiculously cheap.
I know.
Right?
I know.
People, that used to be the whole Black Friday thing. Was
Plasma.
go out and get a TV.
Yeah.
Now TVs are stupidly cheap. You go get one whenever you want.
Yeah.
When I was working at Best Buy, it was literally like we were getting ready for
Yeah.
D-Day back when I was working there.
Yeah.
No lie. It was, you had to be there from, oh God, when did they make me do it? I would have Thanksgiving with my family. This is before they start opening up Black Friday on Thanksgiving Day, which I think is absurd. So I'd eat dinner with my family, and then I'd get to work at 2 a.m. Friday morning. And I would work from 2 a.m. until 11 o'clock the next day night.
Yeah.
And it was Armageddon out there. It was unbelievable. People choking each other over HDMI cables.
God forbid you don't, get that TV that's
I know that
$100 less than it usually would be.
My God.
You're saving so much money.
So much. You have to buy it now. You actually are losing money if you don't buy it now.
Right.
But the funniest thing is Best Buy is just sitting back going, we still made $50 on that TV.
Whatever.
we got the new models coming in tomorrow. You guys clear this shit out.
Well, what a lot of people didn't know is that there's actually Black Friday TVs. So they actually release, Samsung and all the manufacturers actually release lower tier TVs for Black Friday.
Yeah.
So
this way it looks like you're saving a ton of money, but if you look at the model numbers, it's different from their main lines.
Yeah. I saw something with that if you're going to go buy like a Black Friday iPhone, the same thing. Like it was going to be a lower tiered iPhone, like less, gigabytes or RAM or whatever.
Yeah, of course. It's all in the fine
there.
print that they screw you with.
Yeah. But you know what? Most people don't realize. They don't know any better.
Yeah.
And realistically, if you think about it, anything that is on sale on Black Friday, they're things that you don't really need.
True.
So yeah, you're thinking you're saving money, but you're actually spending money.
Oh yeah.
So you're really.
Oh yeah.
That was actually something that I read today. I read something that said you wind up spending more money than you even want to or need to because you think that you should get things that are on sale.
Yeah.
So
I might as well get this too.
It's all marketing. Yeah, I'll get that. I'll get this. I'll get that. And I was actually having that internal debate with myself because for a long time I would just buy things. Not necessarily because I needed them, but because I like the euphoria of a package waiting for me at the door. It's like, something new.
Yeah.
And I've actually taken a step back as of late and kind of just been like, I got to chill out.
Right. But you have to make a conscious effort to do that.
Yeah.
It's hard. We live in a culture where
materialistic.
You're sort of conditioned to do that. It's what the economy runs on. So if we're not spending money on things that we don't need, the economy's not thriving. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword.
Now, I mean, you're a few years older than me. Have you found over the years you've gone? Were you ever more materialistic, or did you like the nicer? I guess the nicer things in life it could be.
I mean, you've been by my place, so you see where I live. I'll put it this way: I enjoy nice things, but I don't particularly consider myself materialistic. So the way I look at it, I would rather have a few very nice things that I could appreciate than just hoard and buy, just for the sake of buying.
I find the hoarding and buy and having a room and a house full of just tons of shit actually makes you more depressed in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it, I take value out of certain things. So I like living somewhere that I enjoy living in. So to me, having a nice view, for example, and I wake up in the morning, I could look out my window and I could be grateful for where I am. That puts me in a good mood, and it allows me to kind of thrive throughout the day. So that's something that I put a lot of value in,
which is way different than just buying a bunch of small little trinkets and stuff.
Right.
Well, it's really an investment too.
Right. Other people may want to spend their money on going on vacation all the time and being, on some tropical island. I don't particularly. I mean, I like that, but I don't particularly put much value in it because, I'll be honest, I like my life. I don't really need a vacation from it. Actually, going on vacation almost gives me a little bit of anxiety because I like my routine and my day-to-day. The
regiment.
My regiment. So thinking oh my God, I'm going to be away for 5 days. What I need to bring, So, that's something that I don't particularly put a lot of value in. That's kind of what I would say.
Well, that's something I've found is the more you live life on your own terms, the less you need to run away and escape it. People that spend all their money, get timeshares, and try to go on vacation whenever possible, it's almost always somebody with a 9-to-5 job where they're not happy there.
Exactly.
Even if they get, I'm not saying everybody has to go be an entrepreneur, but if everybody finds a job or finds something they want to do and they enjoy their life, even if it makes a little bit less money, but you wake up and you're happy, that's way worth trying to escape that job 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah. I mean, I was actually watching an interview not too long ago, and this guy was talking about that exactly, and how people get caught in the rut of, the grind of life and being, stuck in a job they don't like, doing things that they don't particularly like. And, it's depressing, and it sort of leads to some kind of despair in a sense too. So what he was saying is, you should try to cultivate your passion, so, it's like, what do you like to do that you wouldn't even need to get paid for? And you look at that, and then you say, okay, well, whatever it is. Let's say you like collecting these little figurines. What are they called again?
Funko Pops. My little Funko Pops.
Right. So now you could delve deeper into that, and then, you figure out, well, there's, people that collect these. What can I do in terms of being able to monetize them and resell them or whatever, I mean, I'm just using that as an example. And then you say you either build a business around that, or let's say I don't know, you may even work for the company that makes them, and then over time you develop that, and you end up working, but you're actually not working. So because you're doing something that you love, so whether it's working for a company or, like you said, starting your own business, it's not necessarily that you do have to start your own business.
Right.
You could still work for somebody else and still live out your passion.
Exactly.
It just, you have to create that awareness and know that you have to do that in order to have some kind of fulfillment. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable, and you're going to want to buy that timeshare. You're going to just look forward to, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And, I mean, it's kind of sad, that the majority of people really live that way. I'll be honest with you, like for me, whether it's Monday or Sunday or Wednesday or Saturday, like it's really the same day, like, for example, like tomorrow, I have a client that I'm training at 10 a.m.
Yeah, me too.
And
it's great.
It's Thanksgiving, and I don't care. And I'm actually training him for free because he's such a good client. And I told him, I said, his name is Van. I said, Van, tomorrow I'm training for free because it's my way of saying thank you to you. So, and I'm not like, oh my God, I gotta do this.
You're not dreading
it's Thanksgiving. It's a holiday. That's my day off. Like I don't even feel like I'm working. So that's kind of my outlook on all that.
Well, that's my biggest thing that I preach to everybody is go out, get creative, and find a passion in life. Now, figure every little passion, even if it's kites.
Right.
This is a multi-million-dollar industry in every little niche. If your passion is making, I'm just looking at your sunglasses right now, arms on sunglasses, guess what? That's $1 billion industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
What can you do with it? Who knows? Do you want to collect them just for you? Sure, why not? But everybody should have a reason to wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't wake up pissed off. You have to go do something. Wake up.
Yeah.
And sure, people have bad days, but wake up. If you don't have Florence, I'm going to kick today in the dick and fucking own it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I woke up hating work for a long time.
Yeah.
A long time working retail, working sales jobs where it was just thankless, and you were only good enough for your last sale. And I got tired of that. And obviously that same stress runs over in different aspects of, especially when you own your own business. It's how many shoots do you have coming in? Do you have enough for next month? What are we doing? How are you
inconsistency of it.
Yeah, exactly. How are you expanding? Because freelancing, especially, it could be feast or famine.
Yeah.
So and personal training too, though.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm sure at some point both you guys have had.
It's cyclical. Yeah.
Clients drop off. No, maybe not because you're bad coaches, but
sometimes
trainers.
They move or whatever. Maybe.
Anything happens.
And you're almost back to square one where you have to like regroup and get back out there and reintro yourself and get some new clients with some new incentives. So
absolutely.
It's very strange, and I talk to people a lot about that. The pluses and minuses of working for yourself and working for somebody else. But I've made a statement a lot lately in terms of, I know a lot of guys that did their 4 years at college, did their graduate studies, got their master's in what they thought they were going to enjoy.
Yeah.
And even after, 7-8 years of schooling total, right?
Yeah.
Just in a collegiate setting. Even after all of that, although they are enjoying their jobs, half of them get jobs and they fucking hate them. and the other half I actually find are unemployed because there's no jobs for them.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying to discourage you from going to school and trying to obtain a degree where you think that you'll enjoy that field. But at the same time, it's eye-opening because all that schooling, all those loans, all that debt, and you don't have a job.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'll give you a perfect example, myself. So, when I was in high school and, in my earlier years as a teenager, I got really into philosophy and, political science, things of that nature. I remember it was probably like my sophomore year in high school. I said to my father, I said, I think I'm going to major in philosophy. And, he looked at me and he's like, what are you going to do? Think all day? So instead, a year later, I decided to choose finance and business as a major, which is the complete opposite in terms of practicality, So I went to Fordham. I studied finance, in a sense for the wrong reason, because I thought, that's like the sort of field that you're going to make the most money in. And, I want to make my parents proud and whatever. It happened to be that I graduated in 2009. Okay. At the
the peak right after the bubble burst.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that was it was
08 was the real year, and then
the fall of 2008. That's when the bailouts happened and all that. And I remember having interviews with different companies or banks, and it's like the next day they'd be
you get that
that
generic ass reply.
Yeah, and so that kind of forced me to kind of go a different route. And, I always sort of had an entrepreneurial spirit about me. And I actually decided to open a restaurant right by Fordham where I went to school. So with my parents' help, thankfully, I was able to open it was probably about, I'd say, 1,000 square feet, maybe a little less, self-service type of place. It was open late. It was right by the bars where all the students went to. And what I did was I sort of took the Rutgers food truck, the grease truck concept, because they didn't have anything like that over there in the Bronx. And, I did all the fat sandwiches and, like fried Oreos. And the place itself was actually called Munchies. So
could you imagine Vlad in the back just whipping up a sandwich for you? You walk in, his big ass is back there just like, what do you want?
This is what you eat?
I wasn't as big back then. This is when I was like probably, 22, something like that. And, so I started that, and let me tell you, it was like a huge eye opener because, I got hit with like all of the uncertainties that come along with opening a new business. It was a travel agency prior, so having to convert it into a restaurant, took getting commercial electric, commercial gas. I had to build in a exhaust system, for
to get all the fumes out,
and like all the regulations. It took me a month just to get a commercial gas meter from Con Ed. So these things, at the time I realized like, wow, like I studied business, but like they don't teach you this.
No, and they should.
Yeah,
they without a doubt should. They should teach you all areas of a business and what actually takes all departments.
Not just theory, but also the practice.
Absolutely.
Anyhow, it did well. It was good. It was extremely busy. I had no life because I was, how it is, especially in the restaurant industry. You have to be there all the time. We were the type of place that we'd close after 4 a.m. because when the bars closed at 4 a.m., all the kids would be running in. It was. I ran it for about 2 years, and it was good, but it was very daunting, So in the end, I actually ended up selling it to the landlord of the building, and I, decided to get out of that. And at the time, I was actually working in the area too with a property management company that rented apartments to students. So I was the lease consultant working with them, being that I already had sort of a relationship with the students, and I was an alum myself. So I did that for a while, but in the meantime, it was when I had giving up the restaurant that I got into wanting to compete. So this was in 2011. I said next year, you know, I'm gonna have a lot more freedom and time, and I'm gonna pursue doing a competition.
So actually, before we get into that portion of it, let's backtrack.
Right.
I want to backtrack to what actually brought your attention to fitness then.
Well,
because it didn't just come out of nowhere.
No,
for you.
no, of course not. Yeah, I was always passionate about that. You know, I mean, starting in high school, you know, going back, I was probably like 130 pound, you know, skinny kid, you know, goth metalhead type of guy, you know, that just wore black, and I even had long hair, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, I have some crazy pictures.
So you hung around the old Hot Topics for a while.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, but then that became for posers, so I like went into like getting like, you know, limited stuff on eBay at the time.
Oh,
But you don't want Hello Kitty and My Pony earrings,
right? No, it
that was the line.
It wasn't hardcore anymore after a while. Yeah. But anyway, you know, I guess it was probably my sophomore year in high school that I got into working out a little bit. My parents owned a home in a townhouse complex, and we had a little clubhouse there where they had like a little gym, you know?
Yeah.
So I just started going there and like kind of doing my thing, and I didn't really know what I was doing, but, you know, my body responded well. And I remember that first summer, I guess going into junior year, you know, all my friends were like, dude, you're like jacked, you know? And, you know, I was still skinny, but I was like starting to get like a little cut up, you know, like I was getting
going on. You felt good.
I was getting a little toned, you know. So, you know, I felt good, and, you know, I was getting the attention, and, you know, it made me sort of want to pursue it even more, you know, and learn about dieting, you know. So I started eating more protein, you know, and, you know, I remember like we'd go out to diners and stuff, and like I would always order like either like a tuna sandwich, or like, you know, thinking like, oh yeah, that's, you know, good protein. And I would make sure that I would let everybody know at the table that I'm ordering this because it has a lot of protein, because I'm into working out now.
Yeah, make sure.
God forbid
make the PSA.
God forbid people didn't know that, you know.
Yeah.
Of course.
You had to make sure everyone knew.
Yeah,
Of course.
And you know, the funny thing is, and it's actually some of the things that I'm reflecting on now when I talk about, you know, bodybuilders are some of the most insecure people, you know, myself included. You know, I have no
Tag me in. Me too, man.
Absolutely.
in, admitting that. I mean, I've gotten over some of my insecurities now, but yeah, we definitely started for the wrong reason. I don't know what it is. It's like not feeling like you're not being seen or heard. That you gravitate towards this, which does give you the opportunity to be seen, you know, because you look a certain way. So whether people want to or not, they will, you know, they'll gravitate towards.
They don't have a choice,
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's that's kind of how I got into it at the time. And then when I went to college, I made friends with a couple guys there who, you know, they were into working out too. So we just basically would, you know, go to class, go to the calf like 5 times a day, and work out, you know, morning and night. So, but once I started my restaurant, you know, I kind of took a bit of a hiatus just because I was so busy with that. And I remember there were a couple months where I just didn't even work out at all. And once things got situated, I got back into it. And like I said, once I sold the place, that's when I said, okay, now I'm going to have more freedom to actually be able to focus on, you know, doing a competition as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly with that statement.
Yeah.
That we're all a little insecure, and that's really what it comes from. We always say it, but I was heavy, and I hated it. I was the kid that kept a shirt on at the pool when I was little, and I hated the way that I looked, and I didn't really know how to change that.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to change it, but I didn't really not only have the willpower to change it, but I didn't have the mentality or knowledge to change it.
Yeah.
So it took me until late in high school to really be able to grab some knowledge, grasp it all, and then start effectively making changes and seeing my body change due to that. And it's a weird process because even after I did my first show, I think that actually made me more insecure. Because after I did my first show, I was so devastated, rebounding the wrong way, gaining so much weight. And then I feel as though competitors, we always compare ourselves to that stage look.
Yeah.
And no matter what, we're not good enough for the camera or this or that or to do videos and to do anything. And I remember I didn't want to be in any pictures, but I look back and some of the pictures I was in, I was still lean. I still looked good. I didn't look bad, but in our mind and our distorted perception of what we actually look like, we always think that we're too small or too big or not hard enough.
Yeah.
We're lacking triceps. We're lacking shoulders. There's always something that we're trying to repair and improve in the gym.
I'm curious when you guys think that mentality kicks in, because I know we've all, like Vlad, you were saying, you made sure your friends knew you were eating extra protein as soon as you started working out.
Yeah.
You know, we've all, and back then you're probably wearing tank tops and stuff because you just started training.
Yeah.
Same thing with me, Nick, probably the same thing with you, right? As soon as you started, when you truly got into it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, when I first got into actual lifting, seriously lifting, it was 2012-ish, late 11, early 2012 when I joined Bevs. And that and I had just watched Pumping Iron the year before. I saw it in the bin of my dad's DVDs at his house, and I was just like, "What is that?" And he's, "Oh, it's a good movie. You gotta check it out." And you know,
I could have gone one of two ways. No, don't look at that.
No, don't look at that. No.
Don't look at the
Get
video.
away from the DVDs.
It's a curse. You will be cursed forever.
What's tough about it with my dad, and I don't really say this to a lot of people, but what was tough growing up with my parents being divorced is my dad has multiple sclerosis, so he can't walk. So there was always a side of me that got extremely upset because I didn't have a dad that could do what all the other dads could do. I didn't have a dad that could go run, play, jump around. Because my parents were divorced and it wasn't the best relationship that they had, it was I was always in the middle of both of them. Yeah. I was 90% time with my mom and 10% with my dad. And when I was with my mom, as you both know, I did lose my grandfather last week. So Grandpa was actually the one who really raised me. So in ways, he was more of a father figure to me in a lot of ways because I grew up with him and he taught me a lot of lessons, and I'm thankful for that because I got to spend so much time with him. But for me, when it came to training, it was almost like an upsetting thing because I see kids even now working out with their dads. Yeah, and and to me, I'm just like, man, I just wish I could have lifted with my dad or had a dad that was in the gym with me, teaching me, showing me the ropes. So hopefully that's a lesson for me, which I know it is. And when I eventually have kids, I would love to be that dad with my son, training and showing him the ropes. Yeah. But when I saw Pumping Iron, my face lit up. I was like, "Holy shit, this is awesome!" And I joined Bevs because you look up.
That was the place.
All you have to do, especially on Long Island, you just have to type in bodybuilding gym.
Yeah.
Bevs. First, even before SEO was like popping off, it was just like, "This is it. This is where you want to be." And that kind of allowed me to get in there. And then over the course of training and doing my thing and seeing how my body changed, but then I wasn't changing my diet, so I was getting bulky, but I wasn't looking good. So then, my first relationship ended. So I was feeling super self-conscious about that. You almost have those doubts, like she left, she cheated on you kind of thing. And are you good enough? And then you start having that internal conflict, which I did. Yeah. And then a year later I competed because I needed to just take my mind off things and try to become my best.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the cliche, right? Breakups create bodybuilders.
Yeah, man. But what I was talking about before was where do you think that line is drawn from all of us making sure everybody knows we're eating protein, we're in tank tops, we work out to I know the three of us in the gym were always covered up, right?
Yeah.
But
to an extent.
For the most part.
I show a little tricep every now and then.
Every now and then. I know whenever I see you, you're in a long sleeve shirt. You know what I mean? Give or take.
I mean, at this point now, I've become comfortable with the way I look. And I feel like people already know that I'm a bodybuilder. I don't need to show it. So my relationship with that is a little different. In the beginning, though, I did have to make sure that everybody saw me. And it wasn't done consciously, but it was done. And it stemmed from insecurity, stemmed from, like I said before, that sort of feeling of not being seen. And we all. I mean, that's a human thing. We want to be seen by other people. We want to be heard. It's part of feeling loved in a sense, and but we try to sort of mask it in a way that is almost superficial, and we could see each other just for who we are, not necessarily because you're, you know, a millionaire or you're, you know, some kind of, I don't know, rocket scientist or something, and I'm just like, you know,
you're taking over half the table.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I knew we should have gotten a bigger table.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we create that notion in our own minds that like we have to prove something for other people to want to see us. Meanwhile, that couldn't be far from the truth, you know?
Friends are just happy to see you.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it's because we all have that fallacy in our mindset that we don't see each other. And then we almost create expectations of each other too. Like, oh, well, like, who the hell are you? Like, I don't care about you. You know, you're just some guy, you know, like you have nothing to offer me, you know?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you know, that's the reality of things. And, you know, I think that, you know, doing something like, you know, podcasts like this and like speaking about it through other forms of media and creating the awareness around it may spark a thought in somebody else's mind that, you know, I feel like that too. And I've been judgmental and I've been, you know, projecting myself in a certain way. Maybe I shouldn't, you know, and then hopefully that makes a bit of a difference.
Snowball effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's, you know, what's ironic, and I'm sure the average person doesn't really work out, might not believe this, but it's true, is the worst body dysmorphia in the world comes from competitive athletes. All of us. You know what I mean? We're always thinking we're not, because we're always comparing ourselves to what we look like at the peak of our conditioning. Going, I look fat today, I don't look good. Meanwhile, we look better than 99% of the population, at least physique-wise.
Right.
That's not saying one's better than the other. Of course not. I'm all tangled up over here on the wires. But people would look at us and go, why would you be upset? You look great. Meanwhile, our head is spinning like crazy. But I've looked better before. I ate that extra, you know, I had a cookie yesterday. Now is it hitting me? Am I holding more fat? Am I holding more water?
I'm so bad.
Exactly.
You remember I told you with my ex?
Was it?
Took my shirt off in front of my ex.
Oh yeah.
Took my shirt off. One of the first times like we were together. Whatever, I don't care. One of the first times we were together. Take my shirt off. She goes, "Oh, you have an amazing body." I said, "It's okay.
Yeah.
It could be better. If I don't eat Sour Patch Kids, it'll be good."
Yeah. No, but you know, actually, speaking of that, women are the same way, though.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, they feel so insecure. Not all of them, but you know, the ones that do, they feel insecure about their bodies. And meanwhile, as men, you know, we look at them and we see this attractive person, you know, and we don't see all the flaws that they see when they look in the mirror. And you know, it's really the same thing. You know, we both have the same mentality. So it's not really just like people that work out, or you know, I'm talking about, you know, not just the women that compete or whatnot. Even, you know, regular women. It's just human nature. You know.
But one thing people don't talk about enough is post-show depression, like when you put on the weight.
Yeah.
I think that's because you know what, as a male bodybuilder, 200 pounds, you can handle the food a lot better than, say, a bikini girl that goes off the rails for a couple days.
Right.
Now, the women get the short end of the stick here because their whole body changes in
drastically
a week.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody without that much muscle puts on 10 pounds in a few weeks, you're going to notice. If either one of us put on 10 pounds in a few weeks, it's kind of hard to tell.
Right.
So it's hard. The mental toll that competing can do to some females especially is rough for them. You know what I mean? And I think we just need to make that a little bit more of an open topic for them.
Yeah.
We're gonna have Jules on.
Yeah,
Jules
coming on.
She's gonna come on.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't had a female guest, not because we don't like females. We love females. It's been easier just getting the guys together, just because we're friends with a lot of you guys, and it's just easier to coordinate. But we're gonna get Jules on because I want to get a female's perspective on a lot of not only the industry but everything like that, and obviously being Miss Olympia, multiple Miss Olympia, which is 3 or 4 time,
something like that.
Yeah, she's like 3 or 4 times Miss Olympia. She's obviously had so many different experiences that she could probably shed a ton of light and information on for anybody.
Yeah.
And it would be impactful to all of us, honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
But let's get back to the competing, because that's when you decided.
Yes.
Right after the you got rid of, you sold Munchies.
Right. And then I
which, by the way, is it still there?
I think it got converted to something else in the meantime. But there is still a restaurant there. It's actually on Arthur Avenue.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, right in the Bronx.
well, you put all the money and turn it into a restaurant. Nobody's gonna turn it back.
Yeah.
That's not cheap.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, going back to having decided to compete. So I did my first competition in 2012. I did the Atlantic States, and I'm happy I did it because it was very competitive, and it really gave me a real perspective on how competitive I also am. It happened to be that I actually did really well. I competed as a middleweight. I came in, I think it was like 162 around there, and just to give you an idea, like, the last time I competed, I was over 200 pounds on stage, and that was like, 6 years later. But yeah, I competed. I placed second in the Open as a middleweight.
Wow. How old were you then?
I was 26 at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I won my class in novice, and then I actually won the overall too in novice. So I was extremely happy. I was, it was probably like one of the best days of my life at that point. And it really kind of told me that, you could pursue this. Like you could be good at this. And that's what I did. Afterwards, I sort of like, I don't want to say that I put all my eggs in one basket, but I looked at it as, okay, how can you pursue this as a career? So I just delved in and I got involved in the industry whichever way I could, working with different companies. I mean, at the time I was lucky that I was able to get in with Species. So I was working shows and I started training clients. And yeah, I mean, one thing led to another, and here I am now.
Who were you working with originally? Like were you prepping yourself? Or?
Yeah, so originally I worked with a local guy in Jersey, Carlo Filippone, and I mean, not many people know him because he sort of got out of the whole coaching industry. He opened up a company, Elite Lifestyle Cuisine. It was one of the original meal prep companies. And now he owns another company, sort of a spin-off of that, called Chicken Pound. I don't know if you may have seen it, like, being posted around.
Actually, yeah. It was just chicken in bulk? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's funny. Paul Huckemeyer, if he's listening, I think he posts that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people do, yeah.
Yeah. Where I think they just mail bulk raw chicken, right? Kind of as simple as that.
No, it's cooked. So it's like different flavors. So it's
Okay.
called Chicken Pound because it comes in containers that are 1 pound of chicken, of like diced up chicken. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. No, it's good. So yeah, he was my first coach, and I'm glad that I had him as a coach because I was able to avoid a lot of mistakes that guys make going into their first competition. Oftentimes I've noticed that in bodybuilding there are a lot of know-it-alls. Oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. I know my body. I can't even tell you how many times I've heard that. I don't even know my body yet. Like, I don't think Phil Heath knows his body. Like
My
come
coach
on.
says I don't need a lot of carbs, and I know I need 3 scoops of Captain Crunch.
And not to mention, your body changes and shifts every like 5 years. So like, anyway, that's my like little rant when it comes to that. But yeah, unfortunately, like a lot of guys make the mistake of either being too cheap or they just outright can't afford a coach, and they still compete to get like the experience. But it's like, I don't know. My approach to everything has always been like, I don't want to do something just to do it. If I'm going to do it, I want to do it the right way. Like even with the content that now I'm choosing to start up with, like I'm not going to just like finagle some stuff together myself. Like I'd rather do it the right way, have like a professional help me with it, and being able to deliver it in the most effective way. So I apply that principle to everything, and that's why at the time when I did my first competition, I was able to have an amazing experience, and I brought my best at the time, which was still good enough to be awarded for what it was.
It's funny. I look at a good coach as a college education course on your own physique. If somebody can really pick it up, pick your brain and figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, if you're truly listening to them.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to do their first show and they don't have a coach, they don't really know their body, maybe they think they do, they don't, competing isn't cheap. They're better off putting their money into working with a coach for 6 months to learn their own body.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then figure it out.
Or if you can't afford it, just like do yourself a favor and pick a different hobby.
Yeah, or pick up a book, try to figure it out yourself.
Do it the right way. Like don't like, kill yourself to buy a BMW if you can't afford the gas for it,
Yeah. Well, don't buy a really nice empty wallet.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen a lot of those Gucci wallets. Trust me.
Just move that Louis Vuitton wallet out of there, please. Find it in the background. There's only $1 in there, so.
I found it on the way in.
Yeah, I found it on the way in. So it doesn't belong to me.
In Chinatown.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we had that topic kind of discussed with George, especially with coaches.
Right.
And if you're gonna hire a coach, listen to what they say.
Yeah.
Don't listen to all the naysayers and the people around you.
Yeah.
Chiming in because they want to give their input. Oh, he said chicken.
Yeah.
I know a guy that says steak is better to eat.
Right.
And your body reacts better to it. And then you start second guessing shit. Like you're
Yeah.
hiring somebody to work with you for a reason. You trust that person. Go to the end with that person. And if it doesn't work after a little while and you really aren't seeing the results, make changes.
Yeah. And not just the naysayers, but also the cheerleaders.
Mm-hmm.
Like, listen, you have the people that love you, and that's fine. They support you. But in their eye, you're going to win the Mr. Olympia,
Yeah.
And, if you only focus on that and you don't actually listen to some of the criticism as well, then you're kind of setting yourself up for failure, and you're creating the wrong expectations.
Yeah, it doesn't get clearer than that. I mean, for example, I just did my last show a couple weeks ago to the Easterns.
Mm-hmm.
I came in bigger and leaner than I ever have. The best physique I brought, but I got my ass handed to me on a silver fucking platter as a light heavyweight bodybuilder.
Mm-hmm. That's that's
were you
that's the toughest class. Too,
I know.
By the way.
Oh yeah, no, I know. Were you at that show?
This is when
Easterns.
Easterns,
You were there. You had a guy in it, right?
Oh yeah.
That just
Oh, the
passed.
one. Oh yeah.
The light heavyweights. That was the most stacked class
Oh,
that's
yeah.
been there in like a
Yeah.
decade.
Yeah.
So
They were all hibernating just to fuck with you.
yeah, but it was funny. They came out of the bushes. I'm backstage. I'm like, "You're a novice, excuse me."
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I will say is, everybody on that stage who beat me fucking deserved it. They worked their balls off. The guys, I'm standing, whatever, front position on stage. Now we're gonna get top 5. I'm sitting there like, all right. I'm looking at. I don't know his name or what placing he took, but I'm looking at this guy from the side, and I'm seeing just the graininess in his obliques. I'm like, Jesus Christ! I know the lighting's coming in from this way. I'm looking at the side. I know I'm not even getting the best lighting. It's humbling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Granted, these guys have a ton more years of training on me than I do, but still, it's crazy.
Now let me ask you: Did you work with a coach?
Yeah, I've been working with Neville for a while, Paul Neville.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. But it's just a matter of, that day, my tan was really bad too, but I can't blame the tan. These guys are just better athletes than I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
But because for me, I'm so pale. That first coat went on me like, great.
Yeah.
But we didn't let it dry long enough, and then it was wet paint on wet paint.
Right.
And once I got to the finals, it looked like I had a skin disease. It was blotchy here,
Yeah.
dark here, pale here.
Yeah. That takes away from your presentation. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I looked like shit. And actually, something I'm not proud of, but I didn't have anything to do. Like, I couldn't do anything about it. For whatever reason, I'm really bad in the heat, like, generally. And I had to walk off stage during the prejudging for the open class. I did the open and the novice light heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came into the novice, I looked big. I looked pretty good for myself. Excuse me. But once I got on there for the open, they had us up there for quite a bit. And those lights they're bright.
Oh,
they were like, I was counting them because I was
Yeah.
the audience. There was 24 of those big lights. And Jesus Christ! So I'm standing on the side and I start getting lightheaded. Paul said he saw me go from big to just flattening out into nothing. So I'm standing on the stage on the side, like front position, and he sees me wobbling back and forth. I'm like, oh shit, this ain't good.
Scary shit, man.
Wow.
And I knew I was gonna pass out. I'm like, can I hold it? Am I gonna be okay?
Yeah.
Then it was getting close. They just kept working the guys like top 5. So I'm like, I'm either gonna fall on the stage, or I'm gonna get off and get something in me, because it was really bad low blood sugar for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Obviously, cutting water diuretics. I'm sure I know that didn't help. So I walked off stage, but I made sure the guys backstage knew. I'm like, guys, I need some water. I'm not okay. Not rage quitting, stepping off stage. I didn't take top 5. Fuck these guys.
Yeah.
So of course, whatever. I went back to my bag. I got some candy. I got some water, some Gatorade. I sat down. I was okay, but definitely wasn't great all day. But in between, like once I got my bearings a little bit, I went back up to, it was Guy actually back there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I just want to let you know I'm okay. Like, he's like, it was good. I was actually about to go look for you. Make sure you weren't falling asleep somewhere.
Yeah.
But biggest thing, and obviously I knew I didn't place well. I wasn't feeling great. I still went back for the night show.
Yeah, yeah.
Still did my routine.
Of course.
And they got some fucking food in me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there was a weird day of me trying to make sure I was okay blood sugar wise, but also not spilling over and looking like dog shit by the night show.
Yeah.
Ironically, the tan didn't help me very much, but
yeah,
it was a crazy experience.
You know, it's funny you mentioned it about getting food after. You know,
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing that I've sort of like, I don't know, it just came to me one day, like thinking about it. I think that the meal that you get with your friends and family after the show, like immediately after the show,
Mm-hmm.
is probably more fulfilling than getting the trophy that you get. You know?
Oh, yeah.
It's just such a, I don't know, it's such a like relieving kind of feeling that you get when you're there and, you know, you have everything said and done. More so than the relief and the fulfillment that you get when you receive that trophy. I don't know, that, at least like reflecting on my experiences competing, I've recalled that felt a lot better, you know?
Well, it's funny. That's like the complete, okay, now we're done.
Yeah.
The trophy, you're still on stage. Thank you. You're still doing some poses. And well, if you win a big trophy like that, you got to get ready for an interview.
Right. Yeah.
Typically.
Yeah.
So once you can
You
finally,
can't even like really enjoy it in the
as
moment.
soon as as soon as you decompress, the adrenaline goes down. You go,
Yeah.
all right, you know what? Let me reevaluate, and let's get ready for next year. Let's fucking do it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a nice like deep breath.
It's true. It's true. Like, you know, there have been a couple overalls that I've won, and I remember there's nothing that I wanted more than just to be done with the interview and just like go out there and like see, you know, my friends and family, you know, and you know that's got to like say something, you know, about the whole experience.
I've never won a big trophy.
Nick, I'll buy you one. It costs $5.
Please do. I've never won a big trophy, so I can't really say, but I can say from my experience, I think the reason that feels so good to be with your friends and family after a show and to eat with everybody and finally just take a deep breath. I think it feels so good because you've missed so much over the course of 18-week prep, 20-week prep.
Yeah.
You've said no to how much?
Yeah.
How many family events have you missed where you don't get that time back with your relatives? You don't get that time back with everybody. So you've been so regimented and so strict, and now you have the ability to just take a deep breath, enjoy some food, enjoy the presence of everybody else.
Right. But see, that's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, I'm agreeing.
It's that most people, if not all, chase that actual physical trophy, whereas they don't realize that we all, regardless of where we place or what we look like, we all have access to the real reward, you know? So it's not in the trophy.
Which you've had that realization, especially lately.
Yeah, so you could really only realize that if you have both, you know, if you get the trophy and then you experience the aftermath as well. The people that may not have gotten the trophy that they crave so much and they think that is the answer to all of their dreams, you know, they don't realize that they actually already do have the trophy, you know? So, I guess that awareness could only come through experience, you know, so they may say, yeah, no, it's one thing to like really think about it. Yeah, that's so true. But then deep inside, they're like, I still want that trophy.
Yeah.
you know, but it's...
Well, it's the grass is always greener on the other side type of effect, where you feel like that trophy is going to solve everything, and it's going to make you feel that way.
Right,
But
right,
like you're saying, until you have both, you don't really realize that the grass was always green on your side.
Yeah.
This is just like an added benefit. Now you have the trophy, and now, but now it's back to square one again.
Yeah.
Now, if you win the overall and you're going to go to nationals, now it's what's the plan going forward for that? Is the national show a week later? Am I going to wind up, or 2 weeks later? Am I going to wind up doing that?
Yeah.
Or are we going to take some time off and put some size on? So you never really get that rest after that. So the family was always there and hopefully supporting and bringing those good vibes.
Yes.
That's actually what I was about to say is you can win all the trophies in the world, but if you have somebody who's 40 years old and he's still an amateur competitor, but he does it because he loves it, his wife and kids are in the audience screaming and cheering,
Yeah.
But you have somebody who wins an overall who's has, no friends there or nobody supports him.
Yeah.
Who's the real winner in the grand scheme of things? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Congrats, you got the $5 trophy. We both spent $300 to do the show. I mean, I could have bought my own trophy.
Right.
So at the end of the day, who's the person who's going home with a bigger smile on their face?
Yeah.
And if it's your passion, then I think that's kind of the real end goal.
But see, I'll disagree in a way because I've realized, I always based everything on passion. I always use that as a sort of driving force, like, oh, I'm so passionate about this,
Yeah.
And lately I've come to realize that, that's really not what fulfills you. Like, yeah, it's fine to be passionate about something and it's fine to pursue that, but that's not the end goal in itself. It's really more so the experience around it and who you can connect with within that experience that enhances the purpose rather than having the purpose enhance your life. If that makes any sense.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm getting at is the trophy's not going to make you the happiest guy in the room, but the guy who did the show because he loves it, not because he had to qualify for nationals, and then went and celebrated with his wife and kids afterwards.
Right.
He's he's having a way better experience than the guy who's like, great, I qualified, now we're going here.
Yeah, and that is only if he's aware of that, because you may
have it, but you could be numb to it.
You may have that
happen.
That's
true. That's true.
But your mind is still focusing like, oh, okay, now I got this. Now what's the next thing? Back to the drawing board. Like
yeah, you gotta
like, dude, just like take and the reason why I'm even saying all this is because I was guilty of that. That's how I always thought. I always either lived in the past or the future. I always like sort of forgot about the present.
I'm so glad you're saying that. I'm so glad you're saying this.
Yeah, and I've been talking a lot about that lately, and some of the things that I've been posting, and I'll be vulnerable with you guys. Like when I won my pro card, I went to Dominican Republic, and it was an amazing show. Victor Martinez and John DeRosa put on an amazing production, and I won the overall there. That's the only way you could get a pro card. They were only awarding one. And and I'll be honest, like it was probably one of the most amazing feelings that I've ever felt. Being able to celebrate afterwards with my mother came out there, my I had other friends. It literally felt. Steve Weinberger was the head judge. Juan was a judge. It literally felt like I did a show at home, only that we were in this destination. It was kind of like a destination wedding. And, at the time, I was seeing somebody and, we were having some trouble and, I'm the type of guy that's very like invested when I'm in a relationship and, I get very emotional and, especially when, you have a sort of moment like that happen. That's
of course
very monumental in your life. It's something that I was pursuing for 7 years. However, though, when I came home, we weren't talking at the time. When I came home, I came home to an empty apartment, and I remember going to sleep that night, and I literally cried myself to sleep. And I had my medal there, I had my trophy, but it's like, what the hell is that going to do to you if you are sleeping
just
in a
tangible
bed,
objects
in a bed next to a cold pillow, So it, at the time, I focused on the sort of emotions around that, but I wasn't aware of like why I was feeling those emotions and what could I do to avoid that in the future and sort of create something else where I can live out my passion, I can pursue goals, but at the same time have the fulfillment of the experience with the people that I'm connected with, including somebody that I'm with, so yeah.
I feel like I say this after everything you say so far, but I couldn't agree more. Number one, living in the moment is something I find, especially in this day and age where everything is so digital and there's not that analog feel to things anymore.
Yeah.
So I have a buddy, I'll give you an example. So I've learned that I have to put my fucking phone down. Yeah. I don't want to be on my phone all goddamn day.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to, like, if I post something on Instagram, I've become very distant over the last couple of months on Instagram. And It's not great for business.
Is that why you don't like my posts?
Oh, shit. I'll tell you why your posts don't come up. Real quick. Barely any bodybuilder posts come up because for the last year and a half a little bit over a year and a half now that I've really worked for myself and been on my own.
Yeah.
This sport and industry consumed my brain around the clock.
Yeah.
Between me training myself, the supplement companies hitting me up, the athletes, shooting, getting the videos out, talking to everybody, and then on Instagram all day, same thing, everybody. And I'm not saying you're the same as everybody else, but after,
I'm guilty of that.
No.
Your bicep is a little bit bigger.
After a while, I just couldn't fucking look at it anymore. Yeah, and I stopped looking and I stopped liking those types of posts. Yeah. And instead, because I used the algorithm to my favor, I started liking pictures of puppies. And I started liking pictures of audio and video gear. You scroll through my time feed, you'll see maybe a bodybuilding or two posts or fitness post, but for the most part, it is all that type of stuff. Yeah. Because when this was my main industry doing videos and before I was really expanding out, I needed that separation of home and state. Yeah. I just couldn't do it anymore. It was just too much. And like I said, living in the moment, I felt like I was living shoot to shoot to shoot. I just shot that. Now I got this project. Oh, okay, we got shoots all weekend. When am I going to get to edit? And this and that. And then go every 5 seconds, I'd scroll through Instagram. What's going on? Either looking at other people that are doing the same stuff that I'm doing or seeing, oh, he's working with him. Okay, now I don't have to worry about that. That's cool. Good for them. Like, then it just became too much mentally. I have a buddy who every time he's at my house, we'll watch a movie, like just kick it, the boys, chilling. Yeah. He's on his phone
the whole time,
90% of the time. Yeah. And it drives me fucking crazy because he's like refreshing his feed, checking to see if his girl, if she's not with him, if she posted another story and this and that. And I'm just my God, bro. And I'll yell at him and he'll get defensive. And I'm like, listen, I'm not yelling at you because I don't want you on your, I'm yelling at you because you got to just be here, be present. Right. All of us are so consumed with this fucking device in our hands, and it's a blessing and such a curse because I'm so tired of seeing everybody with their face down in their phone. Yeah, guilty. I am not innocent by any means. Yeah. However, I am actively trying to get better, so this way I don't have to be part of the problem anymore. And I feel like this is a huge problem for the younger generations too, where they lack discipline, respect, and this is the only thing that they knew because their parents didn't know anything else to do with them, so they stuck a fucking device in their face. Yeah.
They don't know. I'm sorry, I just want to add one thing. Yeah. They don't know how to have a conversation with anybody.
Yeah, but see, at the same time, like, you can't blame them.
Oh, no, of course not. But because we were raised differently, or at least we had to.
I feel like we're that last generation that actually knew how to communicate with one another.
Yeah. We were a fine line. Like, I'm a little bit younger than you, Nick, but.
Okay, you're right.
But my point is that.
How old are you?
23.
Okay, yeah. You're a lot younger. I got like 10 years on you.
Yeah. 28. You got a couple on me. A
little bit.
Not too much.
No, but what's crazy is I see people in my generation that I went to school with who either have no idea what to do. And the thing that pisses me off the most is you think you're trying to act like an adult. You want to be presented as an adult, but you'll have a silly Facebook name like
Nicky Rizzles.
at least you brand yourself with that.
Yeah.
They'll be called like Alex Frog Leaper. Like, what the fuck does Frog Leaper mean besides a joke you had when you were 12? You know what I mean? So it's two complete splits.
It's weird, man.
Yeah.
It's weird. It creeps me out. I'm on and off. So when I'm in a relationship, I'm in a relationship, and we've talked about relationships, and when I'm in a relationship,
let's talk about relationships.
We could talk about relationships. I 1000% will. I don't know if it freaks girls out for me, but I'm super transparent. Exactly how I am with my boys, I am with my girl. Like I'll flat out when we first start dating a girl, I'll just say, listen, I'm going to be totally real with you. I don't cheat. I don't have time to cheat, and I don't lie. I will tell you exactly how I feel about everything. Right. I don't have that sugarcoating gene. So just know if I don't want to be with you anymore or I think this isn't working, I'll let you know and we'll break up.
And what's the reaction?
It's been kind of like put down the middle sometimes. Like some girls are just like, oh, no, wow, finally a guy that doesn't do that or something like that. And some girls will be like, oh yeah, like, and I'm just like, this is me being open with you. This is like my first time where I'm opening myself up and just saying, this is how you get me, and this is how I'm going to be. And I don't display myself any other way.
But let me ask you something though.
Yeah.
Why even say that
well,
and not just simply do it?
Well, because I find that a lot of the girls that I've been with have trust issues with their guys, and it all comes out before that's even said. It takes me I'm not like a guy that just jumps into relationships. I gotta really be into somebody for me to say that that's my girlfriend.
Yeah.
I'm not the kind of guy, I don't sleep around. So I'm very reserved when it comes to who I give time to.
Yeah.
Especially now with the business and everything.
Yeah.
And my mom and everybody. I want to make sure I give enough time to everybody.
Yeah.
And I like to make sure that we're all on the same page before go on a couple dates, see how things go, see where their head's at. And then from there, if it's really gelling and we're feeling it, then from there I'll kind of broach the subject and just be like, listen, I think things are going great. You know, I think we're at that point, you know, and just be totally open about it. And a lot of girls open up to me about how many issues they've had with guys in the past. I would say every girl I've dated, except for my first girlfriend, because we were both in high school and young, and there's really no time for some asshole to come and corrupt her.
Yeah. Unless they have like father issues, then that's like on a whole nother level.
So for me,
the emotional neglect.
For real. No, that's the girls I meet on Bumble. Jesus Christ, you got to see some of these. But so for me, once we get to that point, the transparency just comes naturally with me.
Yeah.
And like I said, John knows I can't pretend at all. I wish I could. I don't know who I got it from. I think I got it from my grandma, because my grandma could be like totally iced, and she's just like, "Get away from me! Don't look at me! Don't talk to me!" And I put that out there, not to scare them or put it in their head, but to really just be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And just say, listen, I feel like I can be totally open with you, and this is how I tell you. You don't ever have to worry about me sneaking around or DMing girls on the side, because I have a lot of friends that do that to girls.
Yeah.
And I tell them all the time, don't tell me. I don't want to know, because I don't want to have to lie to your girlfriend if it comes up in conversation. Did you know? No, I don't know anything. Don't tell me, because I don't approve of that behavior.
Yeah.
Be a fucking man and end it with your girlfriend and go with this one if you really like her that much. That's my viewpoint on it.
Yeah.
And I have friends that will, no. What you're doing is you're fucking this other girl, or you're hanging out with this other chick in hopes that your girl doesn't find out, or if she does and she's stupid and she says, "Oh, let's work things out," and she goes and works things out with you, you have a home base to go back to if it doesn't work with the new girl. I hate that. Be a man. Like, things aren't working out. You're really that unhappy?
Yeah.
Leave.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. Do you have kids with her? No? Great. Even easier.
Yeah. You know what's funny is my girlfriend will constantly tag me this cutesy little relationship, bullshit posts on Instagram.
Yeah.
And she's very appreciative that I'm a good guy. I treat her right. But I say exactly that. I'm like, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
It's really not that hard. And if you're a guy, I'm not going to say a man, because if you're doing this, you're not a man, who's sleeping around and cheating on your girlfriend, doing this, that, and the next thing, if you have time for that, you have time for a lot more important things that you should be getting done.
Yeah.
If you're still living at home with the folks but also sleeping around and not doing anything with your life, get a fucking grab of it. You know what I mean? Do something that will benefit your life instead of, oh, I'm with my girl, but I'm also sleeping around here and I'm banging this chick.
Unless you're a swinger, I guess.
But even swingers.
That's a whole different conversation.
But they usually at least have pretty good jobs.
Yeah.
They're good. They're settled down. They're married. They have their kids. And then, they're just having a good time left and right.
Yeah.
But if that's all you have to do all day, you better find a fucking hobby, a passion, or get a job.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
Broach it, Vlad. I see it. The pot's spinning. The wheels are spinning.
Yeah, they are spinning, because, I've had a lot of experience with that. And, not to excuse it in any way, but, usually... anything that you do, any sort of bad tendency that you may have like that, or habit, usually stems from something else. It's not because you don't have a job or because you're not busy enough. Because let me tell you, I know a lot of people that are busy
that get it in.
Oh yeah, of course.
So it has nothing, or successful. I mean, look, Tiger Woods did it. Like I think he kind of has a job.
He's a little busy.
A couple.
Yeah, it's deeper than that, and a lot of times it stems from it could be generational, where, I'll give you a personal example, my father cheated on my mother numerous times, I mean, they're divorced now. My grandfather cheated on my grandmother, throughout their entire marriage.
Was he in war or anything like that? Because
No,
I know that happened a lot in the older generation.
No, and
I hear stories of that.
No, and he had a job and he kept pretty busy too, So, but it stems from deeper rooted things, whether it's it's definitely certain insecurities. It's probably traumas that you haven't been able to process, and again, like that's where the generational thing comes in, because probably my great grandfather probably did the same thing, and I'll be honest, I was guilty of the same thing up until, recently, where I was not able to maintain a healthy relationship. I always felt like I would end up getting hurt, or left. So what would I do instead? I would find somebody else while I was already in a relationship, and I would sort of transition into that one and leave the other person before they could hurt me, But again, it came from a place of lack, like fear, and unless you create awareness around that and understand where it stems from, then you really can't break free of that habit and those types of tendencies, and that's why, I've been doing a lot of work around that, and I've been open about it, because I really, I don't really have anything to hide right now when it comes to that.
Right.
And I hope that it could help other people that sort of have that issue, whether you're like, a sex addict, that's something that people don't really talk about. Whether you're a porn addict, that's another thing that people don't really talk about. And, these things are real, and a lot of men deal with it, but they don't deal with it,
They put Band-Aids on it.
Yeah, you know what I feel
Essentially, they don't get to the root.
Band-Aids, or they just outright justify and put blame. And I used to do that too. Like, oh, it's her fault. Like, oh, she's not the type of person I'm compatible with. Oh, she's not the type of person that I want. So you always like seek for more and more and more. But meanwhile, I'm the one at fault here. And I'm trying to find somebody that's perfect for me, somebody that I would that I envision being with, and yet in reality, if the shoe was on the other foot, I wouldn't even want to be with myself. So why would, how could I ever attract what I would think to be the
your ideal partner?
Because I'm not cultivating being ideal myself, So I think it has a lot to do with just calling yourself out on your own bullshit, doing the work to sort of reflect on your childhood, on like where you come from, what your upbringing was like, what your parents were like, what your grandparents were like. And if you see a pattern, you're most likely living it out too.
That's kind of what I wanted to say too, is I feel like there's one of three good options here. It's be transparent, like Nick was saying, and just end it, or be transparent the whole way through. Or, hindsight's 50-50. You realized you did this, you justified it for yourself.
Yeah.
And then you realized, hold on, if I wouldn't do it, then why would I want to be with somebody who would?
Yeah.
You got to talk to somebody about it. People say therapy is, not good, but sometimes somebody needs, you got to,
of course, yeah.
Yeah, you got to sit down and really figure this out with somebody going, I accept and I understand that I made a mistake. I wouldn't want this to happen again. So let's figure out why I think this. Why is my mind going to this?
Yeah.
Let's figure it out so that it's not going to be a problem for you anymore.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
a lot of men live throughout their entire lives with sort of in the dark, and they go from, they may even get married and divorced 3 or 4 times. I know situations like that. And it sucks because, now, there's people involved in that, there may be kids involved in that. And now that will create trauma for them. And then they'll maybe end up living out that same sort of, those same tendencies in their own relationships. So it's the snowball effect, like we mentioned earlier, even within this, is really bad. And I really hope that, like, you know, and I think as of late I've been noticing like more people talking about this kind of stuff, you know, and I hope that the conversation continues even further, because we all have like some kind of like trauma that's underlying behind any kind of tendency or habit that we have, whether or not it's cheating or something else, but it we all have it, you know.
I'm an overthinker.
Yeah.
I overanalyze everything, and I look to make moves 3 steps ahead.
Yeah.
That's how I do in everything. Relationships, business, everything.
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate though, and I think my overly transparent and ability to be totally vulnerable with people and with someone, I think that really stemmed from coming from such a strong woman. That's my mom.
Yeah.
And being my parents were split up, and I really grew up with her. I mean, my grandparents, up until his passing just last week, 68 years married.
Wow.
68 years married. Insanity.
Yeah.
And that was something that I always strived for.
Yeah.
But my mom being so strong and single mother since I was 1, and fucking go get it boss, networking all the time, always at business meetings, always doing her thing, and teaching me the right way and the wrong way to treat a woman. I think that really laid foundation for how my brain was wired later in life, and how when I started to get into interactions and relationships with girls, how respect was always number 1 for me. I'm not saying that's not for everybody, and I'm not saying just because you slip up and you cheat that you're the worst piece of shit in the world. It's if that tendency gets a hold of you and you allow it to continue doing it at a consistent basis, and like you said, making the justifications for it, which is when it's a real problem.
Yeah, exactly.
I tell people all the time, people fall in and out of love. It is what it is. If you're with somebody and somebody else comes along and, you know, it's that one-off thing that you decide to make a move and things happen between you and that person, but now you need to own that and respect it and now go with that other person. Don't drag your partner along for the ride, because it's not fair to that person now.
Well, more than likely, you really shouldn't be with anybody, you know? Like, you should be able to take some time and focus on yourself and work through all the bullshit that you're going through. You know, and that's another thing.
Well, I'm saying for a one-off. I'm not saying if it's a habit. I'm saying for a one-off, if you really, if your shit is really fucked up with your significant other and you're totally miserable and somebody else comes along that you click with and it really is something instead of just a sex drive type thing, happens all the time.
Of course.
And it is, and that one-off occasion, I'm not saying that that's like, oh, you get one pass. I'm not saying it like that, but it's understandable where shit like that happens and you felt like you were walking on eggshells and all this stuff, but it's when it becomes habit. And the habit is really what makes it I won't say inexcusable, but it makes it to a point where it's just like you got to get to that root. You got to get to that root cause of what's causing this internal confliction with you and how you're going to, I guess, grow from it and learn so this way it doesn't continue happening.
It's
Oh, I didn't know if you had something else to say.
I
kind of cut you off. I felt bad.
I'm sitting here like, you nailed it.
You nailed it. I agree completely. Yeah.
You know, it's funny because you were saying how you developed your personality because of your mom.
Oh, 1,000%, man.
For me, it's interesting because it was the complete other way around. Like, my dad's a really heavy alcoholic and addicted to painkillers. He's fucked up 24/7. My parents are still married. But I looked at him as, well, that's what not to do. Because when I was growing up, I didn't think, when I was a kid, I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was a normal thing. I thought dad was just mad or whatever it happened to be. But then I started going to my friends' houses, and I'm like, wait a second. Your dad's not like this. Your dad's not like this. Yours isn't like this. There might be something wrong with mine, which as a kid is kind of hard to wrap your head around. Because your father's supposed to be somebody you look up to, and now it turns into, and still to this day, he is the biggest negative in my life. There's nothing you can do about it, but it's interesting because I looked at him and how he is, and what we were talking about, how your parents can sort of not manipulate, but
mold your brain, wire it for later in life.
Yeah, mold your brain so that you're making your decisions. For me, I'll rarely drink. If I do, it's because it was like right after a show or something, and I'm enjoying a drink. But I don't want to because I see what that does. I go, oh my God, you piece of shit. You know?
Yeah.
I would take such good care of my health, and I really try to strive to be the best I can because I want to not. I see what my father was like, and I want to show my kids your dad's there for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's something I never had, and I never will. That's not going to change. But I can definitely be a better man than what I was given.
Yeah.
You play the card. You play the hand you're dealt in life. But sometimes if you fold, you can get a better one next time. Just because it was
the experiences make the man.
Yeah, it was the hand you were dealt, but that doesn't mean you can't make it the one you want.
Right. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, sometimes you can take a certain experience and turn it into something positive.
Absolutely.
Or you could go the opposite route and let it sort of overpower you and take advantage of who you become.
Yeah. Before you know it, you're drowning in it.
Yep.
It was similar. It was similar with my pops.
Mm-hmm.
My pops is a very nice guy to a degree. If we had to live together, it would have been fighting constantly between him and I. It would have been not a great situation. So my mom says all the time the reason they were together was to make me, because shortly after I was born, he wasn't taking care of himself. He was just causing a fit, and his family is very difficult. I don't get along with them at all. Like, I don't want anything to do with his side of the family. This is like one cousin that I actually like. And I think he was getting married recently, and I still have to shoot him a message just to say, congratulations. But other than that, his family treated me like shit because I was my mother's son. So anytime I'd go over there for visitation, to go over there and hang out with him, it was always his mother would be just the complete bitch that you could think of to take out her spite and hate of my mom on me.
Yeah.
And my mom says always, I didn't leave Dad because I didn't love him. I loved him so much that I had to get us away, because his destructive tendencies, especially when he got sick and when he started to just allow himself to spiral out of control, his whole personality and mood changed. Yeah. And I'm very friendly with my dad. We're like friends. If I don't, it's actually super sad. And once again, being transparent, I don't mind putting this type of
course,
information and energy out there, because if somebody else, and I'm sure other people go through it and they're listening to this.
A lot of people do, yeah.
If I don't say love you to my dad when we hang up the phone, he doesn't say it. So I have to initiate everything.
Yeah.
So it's just.
So how do you feel about that?
I hate it. Because if I have kids, I want them to be able to know every time I get off the phone with them, especially if I can't be there in person. Yeah. I love the hell out of you. You're an extension of me.
Yeah.
I should be proud of this person. And it's just super awkward. Like, as the conversation starts to dwindle, it's almost like when we end the podcasts. We end the podcasts when the conversation starts to just like taper off a little bit.
Yeah.
We just feel as though that's a natural way to kind of just end it without being we're done. Like,
yeah. And I'll say I love you back, just so you know.
I fucking love you. You know that. But so anytime I'm on the phone with him, we don't have a lot in common. We'll talk about a couple of things. We have music. We love music together, but he hates the football team that I like. So there's always differences, and there's a lot of back and forth every now and then with like arguing over that stuff, which is okay.
Yeah.
But right when this conversation starts to like dwindle, you just feel that tension.
Awkwardness.
Who's just say it, and he'll, if he ends it, he'll just go, okay, I'll talk to you later. And I'm just like, even growing up, I could never talk about sex with my dad. Couldn't talk about sex. The male responsibility as a dad, talk to your son about sex, educate him. If he's got questions or he wants to come to you, be transparent, talk to him. Anytime I've mentioned remotely, I start, even to this 28 years old, even to this day, if I mention anything having to do with a girl and sex or something like that, or just bringing something up, I don't want to hear about that. Don't tell me.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's fucking weird, because I talk to my mom all the time. I could talk to my mom about anything.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because you know what the advice my father gave to me? I must have been maybe like in my early teens. It was sort of a random moment. He goes to me, if you ever get caught cheating on whoever you're with, if you don't admit it, it never actually happened. And that really,
it stuck to you.
It stuck to me, I mean, if my own father's telling me that, then shit, it must be true, you know?
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to, probably until recently, to get over that resentment that I had towards him, thinking that that's what made me be the way that I was. At the end of the day, like, we still have free will, so you can take charge of who you are.
But it's very difficult when that groundwork is laid sometimes.
It is. But being aware of it, you can work through it, and you could transcend beyond what these things that are seemingly ingrained in you, because they're not, they're false, and also, speaking of that, I did a workshop over the weekend. I've been doing a lot of like transformational work lately, and since probably earlier this year, and I learned something specifically having to do with somebody's relationship with their father, or really any parent for that matter. The instructor said, instead of thinking how your father is with you, like the type of dad that you would want to have, right? Instead, change the perspective and think, okay, what kind of son would I want to be? So it kind of like goes back to the same thing that we were talking about earlier with, being in a relationship with somebody, right? And attracting the right person. First, you have to be the person that person would want to be with. So it's the same, it's no different with a parent, like what kind of son do you want to be? You could be a resentful son. You could be one that creates awkwardness. You could be one that waits for the parent to say, I love you. Or you could just completely shift that and you be the one that inspires the relationship to change, And that really like resonated with me, and I thought to myself like, wow, I'm like really guilty of that, like I hold a lot of resentment towards my dad. And, I think of him in a certain negative way, and how do I ever expect him to change and for our relationship to be any different if I still harbor those negative feelings? So I've been trying to be very proactive, and it's not easy to sort of get rid of that. And I've been talking to him more, and it's beginning to shift a little bit, So I would offer you the same thing, like in moments like that where you feel like there's an awkwardness, or you feel like, oh, like why do I have to say I love you first? Just do it anyway. Show him that you love him.
I do.
Yeah,
I do, because otherwise it doesn't get said, and
that's okay. And that doesn't say anything about you.
And it is, and it is. However, if my dad has had over the years, he's had a best friend who had a kid about the same age as me, and his best friend's a piece of shit. I fucking hate that guy. He's just a nasty person to be around. Always negative. Always like he's the guy from high school that never grew up. That always talks about that one play where if only I was in, the coach would have put me in. We would have been state champs like Uncle Rico.
Does he still wear his varsity jacket?
Oh, yeah, dude. I'm telling you.
That's all he has.
He's that fucking guy. And his wife is a saint, and I love her. And his son turned out to be the same piece of shit that he is. And my dad would talk shit about me to them. So it gave them ammo when they saw me to act like assholes to me. So I have I harbor some feelings towards my dad because of how he acted over the years and how he favored other people's children to mine. And he's had friends of his go to him and go, like, most guys would kill for a kid like yours. Why? What is wrong with you? They've actually said that to my mom. Yeah. And like, he doesn't realize how good a kid, he doesn't get in trouble. He doesn't do anything. He's always trying to make money and be the best version of himself. And where, like, instead, the reason I was fat when I was younger, the reason I got heavy was because he didn't know what else to do with me. And he just fed me every weekend. I'd go to his house. We'd sit inside all fucking weekend. I just plug my face with food because he didn't know what else to do with me. The man just started becoming sick, like probably 8-10 years earlier. Yeah. And he just, instead of living with his illness and becoming better and trying to do things that would allow him to maybe not obviously beat it, because you can't beat it, but maintain and be at least positive in some ways, he just threw his hands up. And then because I had to go to see him every 2 weeks, I kept, we would just eat around the fucking clock. And then I'd come back and my mom would look at me. She's like, are you heavier? What is going on? And then it would actually take me 2 or 3 days to actually mentally come down from how crazy he got me when I was over there. Like, my mom would have to almost, like, if I had a reset button, she'd be like mashing it. She'd be like, oh my God, we have to get him to calm down. Because he would just say shit and do things that just you shouldn't do to a kid. It's just fucked up. It's just not right. And it taught me a lot.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have such a strong mother and grandfather who raised me, I don't know what I would be like. Seriously.
Well, that's something I had to learn early on. I think that's a big part of getting over any issues you have growing up with your parents. Is you got to stop looking at your parents as these all-knowing beings when really they're just people.
Yep.
They're just people. And you know what? Sometimes a shitty person's a shitty person and he had a kid.
Yeah.
But there's nothing you can do about it.
I think it's that a lot of parents also project that idea, with their kids that they are perfect and that they are all-knowing.
Oh, yeah.
Even the notion of like kids belonging to parents, I've kind of come to realize like that's not really true. Like as a parent, you don't own your kids. They're not like
they're not property.
Like you're right. Yeah. You gave them life. You're responsible for raising them and nurturing them because they came from you, but you don't own them. You can't tell them who to be, what religion to believe in,
what to do with their life. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to also create the awareness with them that you can also be wrong and you have flaws. Because I feel like if a parent can be comfortable enough and vulnerable with their own children in showing them who they really are, that will also make them feel better about their own issues that they may have,
stemmed
in, or that may arise throughout life, but unfortunately not everybody does that. I actually had a conversation. This goes back to a different workshop that in the Hamptons actually, like maybe 4 weeks ago. And I had dinner with this couple. They were probably in their early 60s. And they could have been my own parents. And they gave me a little insight on the sort of issues they had to navigate through their marriage and as parents. And there was one thing that really stood out in terms of how her name was Teresa, the mother would incorporate in some of the rearing aspect of her kids. And that was, she had a rule, as the kids got a little older, she said, look, you have to do this, this, and this, right? Now, if you could present me with an argument, a detailed argument as to why I am wrong and why you should be allowed to do X, Y, and Z, then I will grant you permission to do that,
Yeah, that's great.
So, she's an incredibly intelligent woman, so I think it would be pretty difficult to offer her the logic, it would have to be impeccable in terms of an argument.
Come out with charts and everything.
But anyway, the one time she said the kid came up with, presented an argument, and she sat and thought about it, and she said, she said to herself, you know what, he's right. And she stayed true to her word, and whatever it was, she didn't mention what it was, she allowed him to do that, And I think if you could create sort of rearing strategies like that, where you can give your kids a sense of, responsibility for themselves, and also, that creates a sense of worth too, because look, I was able to achieve something, and that's a real achievement,
That's why jobs and chores are important.
I was able to convince my parents of something that I believed and articulated on my own, that it was right and they were wrong. And for a parent to admit that they're wrong, that takes a lot, and it's such a powerful experience to teach your children, that a parent can be wrong, and if you do that at the right age, when they could kind of understand it, that could really make them into very, what I'm trying to think of the right word. I guess the best way to say it, they would make them into very powerful adults, and they'd be able to own who they are, and they'd be able to present something to anybody and say, look, nope, you're wrong here, and this is why.
Will stand up for themselves and believe in their own thought.
Yeah.
Hit the nail on the head with all that. Wow, we got deep on that. I love it. I'm sitting here, I was like, all that was fucking unbelievable.
Listen, you know, I know I keep mentioning all these workshops and things, but I've realized, like, as of late that, you know, unless you allow yourself to experience things that could bring on this sort of understanding of things, and the only way you could do it is by connecting with other people. Like even here, you know, I'm here talking to you guys, and I'm learning something more about you that I didn't know. I'm learning something more about you that I didn't know.
Right.
And it just, you know, in turn, that makes you learn things about yourself, you know, because it may spark something, you know. So I've been just so proactive about sort of getting outside my comfort zone and trying to intentionally connect with other people that are not bodybuilders, you know, or they may be bodybuilders too, you know, nothing against that, but just more so outside of that realm, because I feel like I've been so entrenched in that lifestyle, you know, and like the routine, you know, all the meticulousness of it, you know, like I can't go out, I can't go to dinner, I can't do this, and you know, granted, you know, you have to live a sort of extreme lifestyle in order to achieve that, but at the same time, I don't know, like, is it worth it? You know, like I ask myself that question. Maybe in some cases, you know, but at the same time, you still have to like figure out some way to navigate through that extreme way while also cultivating some other aspects of yourself, because I did not do that. You know, all my focus was external. Like, what can I do to be better? What can I do? You know, like, how can I be even more regimented? How can I be even more disciplined? You know, like, I literally, like, and even to this day, I still do it because it's become so habitual. You know, I have alarms on my phone for when I drink water, for when I'm supposed to eat, for when I'm supposed to take this pill, for when everything, you know, and in prep, it gets even more crazy.
Phones,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, like, phones just ringing all day.
And you know what that does is you can't be present when that happens. You're always thinking ahead, you know, like, I got to drink my water, I got to eat, okay, 30 minutes, I got to wait for this, then I got to do that.
Days and weeks go by.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Alarming
yeah.
rates.
Quick.
Oh my God,
Alarming rates.
Yeah, and before you know it, you're just in your own head, and you're living this like sort of self-imposed like fantasy of like, I'm pursuing my dream, you know, like I'm the, you know, and I see all these quotes too, like, you know, I was guilty of it too. You know, you post all like, you know, about passion, about pursuing your dreams, about being the best you, like while posting, you know, me like deadlifting, you know, it's like, how's that the best me?
Yeah. You know, it's figuring out, am I being the best me, or am I in my own jail cell? You know, not allowing yourself to explore everything else.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, it's been such a like eye-opening.
Yeah.
Why you went like this? I
really,
just knew it.
Yeah, it really has been. And in my particular case, it took me to this last prep where I was prepping for 20 weeks for my pro debut. You know, my pro debut. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
That I was so excited for, in a way, you know. But I realized that I rushed and I was doing it for the wrong reason, because I thought that's what I have to do. You know, I'm a pro now. Now I have to compete again, like as soon as possible.
Be in the spotlight as much as
Be in
possible.
the spotlight, make sure that I'm seen. Everybody knows who I am, you know, and I have to prove something. You know, God forbid I don't meet the expectations that people have of me, or at least the expectations that I think people have of me, because there's a major difference. And yeah, I went into this prep, and prior was when I sort of began my sort of like, I don't know what you want to call it, spiritual, like transformational work. And it sort of diverted me from that a lot. And I had already cultivated some awareness about myself, and while doing self-reflection. So as I delved deeper and deeper and deeper into prep, I began to like not feel good about myself at all, you know, because I was conflicted. You know, here I am putting all this focus, all this time into something that, I mean, yeah, I believe in, but like, it shouldn't be my priority right now. Like I feel an emptiness inside that needs to be explored in a different way other than training 3 times a day and eating 6 meals and being locked within this realm of routine and discipline. So yeah, it got to the point where it was the Monday before my competition.
And your competition was going to be where?
In Romania. Yeah. And that was another thing, you know, I created this story for myself that, you know, it's that much more meaningful because I'm doing it in my home country and my family's going to be there and blah, blah, blah. And whereas that is somewhat true, again, it was just another way to justify why I was doing it. And like I said, it took until the Monday before the show to where I was halfway packed. I was ready to leave, you know, almost. My flight was at night. And I remember I wasn't, I did not feel right. And I went to the bathroom. I remember I looked in the mirror and I said to myself, I'm not going to go. And I felt such a sense of relief in that moment, having had the courage to make that decision, not because somebody told me or for any other reason other than that it served me, you know? And in the past, I never had not only the courage, but the awareness and ability to even make a decision like that because, you know, you just have to like keep grinding. You got to keep pushing, you know,
bite
like
the bullet.
Yeah. Like you got to be tough, like tough it out, you know? And that, yeah, in some situations you have to do that, you know, like if your kid is like dying of fucking cancer or something and like you got to stick it out to be for them, that's another reason than having, you know, competing in a contest that maybe it's not the right time because I should be prioritizing other things, you know? So even that idea of like perseverance is skewed in a lot of situations. And we do it in a self-sabotaging kind of way. Now, going back to what I said about like feeling relief, shortly after sunk in depression. And I was like, fuck, like what did I do?
Roller coaster
like,
ride of emotions.
Now I'm not going,
through?
you know, and I became like emotional and I'm like thinking all sorts of things. Like, what are people going to think of me? What, you know, again, like thinking about expectations and, like, what am I going to say? You know, my mother was flying in too, you know, to come see me. And I actually remember she was probably the first person I spoke with on the phone. And she called me. She was like, oh, like, are you at the airport? You know, like, you good, you know? And I was like in my apartment, on my bed, you know, laying there, like, you know, like depressed. And I go, no. I said, I'm not going to go. And I remember, like, I started crying, you know, and she was like, she said, you know, because I didn't know what her reaction was going to be. I thought she was going to be like, are you kidding me? Like, you know, like
Everyone's coming out.
Yeah, like I'm coming out, you know. But meanwhile, you know, she said, I'm so proud of you for making that decision, and I know exactly why you did. And that made me feel so good because it made me realize that people will understand, you know. And even when I spoke about it publicly through social media, everybody that reached out to me, like friends, even people that I don't know, that now I've been in conversation with as a result, they all were able to understand, and I was actually able to connect with them because of that, you know? So, yeah.
And how did it feel to be able to connect with some people that...
Oh, so amazing, yeah. And, you know, instead, as a result, you know, I went to that workshop in the Hamptons that same weekend, and I had one of the most amazing experiences of my life, you know, connecting with other people. You know, I mean, the Saturday morning there, and that was another post that I made, we went to see the sunrise on Egypt Beach in the Hamptons, and I jumped in the ice cold water, and it was like such a like empowering feeling. I mean, I didn't like intentionally do it that way, but afterwards reflecting on it, it was like almost like it anchored that experience, you know, and it like made me feel like, okay, now you're gonna enter a new chapter in your life where you can be intentional about what you do. You can own your own decisions. And not only that, but make the right decisions.
I got to take myself in here. While I was going through this prep, obviously it's a much more micro scale than you were going through for a pro show and your first pro debut.
Yeah.
But the exact same thing was happening to me because I was realizing as I was going through it, I actually decided I'm not going to do the show maybe like 8 weeks out or so. But I just figured, but I had a lot going on, shit-wise, family-wise, blah, blah, blah. But my coach actually pushed me through. He goes, John, just finish. We'll figure it out. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll finish. Miserable the whole time. I just thought it was because of the diet and stuff. But coming up to 3 weeks out, I'm like, all right, well, I better book the hotel, do this. I didn't feel like I was competing. I felt like I had the weekend blocked out. I was busy. When I was driving to Jersey, I didn't feel like I was competing. When I was getting spray tan, I didn't feel like it. When I was pumping up backstage, I wasn't, all right, ready, let's do this. It's, all right, I got to go on stage in about 5 minutes. You know, it didn't, something was off.
Yeah.
And I realized I get way more satisfaction out of helping people one-on-one, trying to put good information out there, you know, making more YouTube videos, doing the podcast, things like this, than I do standing on stage next to somebody. I love bodybuilding. I'm never going to give it up.
Right.
But for me, I don't think the competing's for me. You know, I didn't love standing on stage, presenting myself. Like I said, I need to start making more YouTube videos and stuff, and I'm going to get more into voiceovers and doing things that I genuinely enjoy. You know, for me, I can pinpoint my voice a little bit more. But when I was taking the T3, the thyroid for prep, I realized my throat was killing me because obviously it overactivates the thyroid. And I was listening to old footage. I'm like, I can hear a difference in my voice from now to when I was taking that. I go, that's it.
We got to knock that fucker down a couple
Get the
octaves.
fuck out of here.
Yeah.
It was sounding bad, and I realized, what am I doing? I love bodybuilding, like I said. But for my path in life, I'd much rather go down the Rich Piana route, where I'm open.
Well, no, you don't want to go.
No,
that's a bad example.
Let me rephrase that. Not cocaine.
That is a horrible example.
Let's try that again. Take 5 seconds back.
I'd much
Nick,
rather,
you better edit this out.
This will be the only podcast we ever edit. I'd much rather go down the route of YouTube.
Yeah.
Making informational videos.
Service.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Because I seek, you know, knock on wood, I'd like to believe that I know what I'm doing relatively well. But there's so much bad misinformation out there.
Yeah.
I want to be able to give people a platform where they can go to find something worth the damn reading. You know what I mean? Based off science.
Topics aren't shunned just because it's good to have the open voice about it and be, like you said, and like John's trying to be, transparent.
Yeah, the open voice on Rizzles. You know, not trying to find your information on a bodybuilding forum where they found it on a different bodybuilding forum.
On Reddit? I shouldn't find all my information about bodybuilding on Reddit?
And then bodybuilding.com.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Except you're going to continue to do it, obviously. Well, maybe.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I do plan to compete.
Yes.
I'm just not putting a time frame on it.
You want to put.
I want to be able to
enjoy it.
Like focus on other things now. You know, like, look, I'll be honest with you. Like, you know, I'm 33, going on 34. I always had uncertainty around whether I want a family and kids. And now I've been able to cultivate the clarity that I do want that and that I can have it. And a lot of it had to do with insecurities over how, you know, my own family life was, you know, with my parents splitting and everything. But now I was able to like realize that, like, yeah, you know, like I do. And you know what? I could be an amazing husband and I could be an even more amazing father. And, you know, because of bodybuilding, you know, every prep that I've been in, if I was with somebody, that relationship ended. So now this was over 7 years, right? Where I could have taken the time to focus on building and nurturing a relationship, you know, and I didn't do that. And I'm not regretting it, you know, because the way I see it, like, that's how things were meant to be. You know, I'm supposed to be where I am right now. But because I am where I am right now, I don't want to make those same mistakes anymore. And then, going back to you and what your experience, right?
Right.
And how you said that things didn't feel right for you either, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't feel like I was competing.
It's interesting because look how it manifested.
Yeah.
You were standing on the side and you almost passed out.
Yeah, you know what?
So your body was telling you, John, like, I mean, maybe this is meant for you, but like not right now, like
Who knows?
Whatever. Yeah. Like you may realize maybe you want to pursue it in a different way, but within that particular experience, that was not like your body and your mind was telling you like, nope.
Yeah. People don't understand how strong the mind is to the body.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And then, going back to what you're saying about putting out the right information, being that we have such an overabundance of information, some true, some false, some in between. What I found to be the most effective is to give your own experience of anything that you may have used or whatever you believe in, anything that you could offer, not in saying you should do this,
right,
but instead say, this is what I did. This is how it affected me. This is what I learned. Maybe that may help you as well, but I'm not telling you that it will.
It's
when people come off as like, know-it-alls and saying, oh, this is the way to do it. This,
right.
Then that's part of like that realm of over information.
Yeah, it's like for me, obviously, I'm not a natural bodybuilder. However, I would put up a video saying, as a natural bodybuilder, based off of science, this is how your body is going to respond to X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
you need a little more recovery. Your food is going to be more anabolic for you. But
to play devil's advocate, if you're not a natural bodybuilder, why even talk about it? Let the natural bodybuilders talk about it. You're wasting your energy and your knowledge.
True.
Because your experience isn't within that.
I'll talk about the natural bodybuilding.
There you go.
I took a raspberry ketone once, so I don't know how natural I am.
Yeah.
I took a SARM.
Do you know that happened down that happened down in Florida?
What?
When I was filming down in Florida.
Okay.
Everyone's talking about stuff, and I literally, everyone will go unnamed, but
I
you don't
have to name names.
No, never. And everyone's just talking about a couple of things here and there, and I said, I took a raspberry ketone once. Nobody found that funny. I'm sitting there like a hyena. Yeah. I'm like, come on, guys.
I'm like, what the hell is that?
I'm like, it's fucking hysterical.
Is that like?
I don't know. Fact told me to take it. I thought.
Are you talking about raspberry ketones labs? Like,
I was like, come on, guys, this is hysterical. I give you guys gold and nobody laughs. All right, I see how this is tough.
Fuck you guys.
I'm like this. I'm like in my notebook. Tough crowd. Fuck. On to the next one.
Is that what that yellow pad is? You bring around everywhere?
Yeah, that's what it is. Just all my bad materials. Fuck. All right, next one. I think that's great. Giving information though, like getting back on a serious topic, giving information that you've had your experiences in, is key because there is so much information out there. So many people talking about everything. There's guys talking about being on drugs, off drugs, people that are vegans, people that hold their shit in for days. Like who knows? Like there's a million and one things out there, and what a lot of people don't do, like you said, Vlad, they don't say their experiences. They just tell you this is how it should be done. This is how I think that it should be done for you, and they forget that you're different than me. I'm way different than you. You're different than like we're all different. Our bodies do not work the same. The way we process food, the way we recover, the way we actually are able to train. There's so many different ways that information just being thrown at people is misconstrued and then potentially kill somebody or harm them or you know, it's like it's just scary how it's like that. So I think that that's the best way to do it. So I double up on your advice of double down on exactly what you've done and what your experiences are. And if people have questions or and whatnot, the disclaimer is this worked for me. I do not know how this will affect you.
And you know what? Unless you're working with a professional, who like a professional
coach,
and
somebody with some degrees.
But I'm talking about if you're going to hire a coach, it comes back to that. They might not experience it, but they've probably seen it all. So listen to your coach and let them learn your body to help you.
How do you feel about that? I'm actually curious about you. How do you feel about a coach that does not have degrees or extensive background on a science front.
Here's what I think. And again, it's my opinion.
Please, yeah. That's why I ask it. I there's no judgment.
It's not true or false. It's just my opinion and my feedback. I feel like because bodybuilding is such a there's a lot of things that there's no studies around it, right? There's no it's all just experiential and practical knowledge, that's attained through like what this guy said that he did and what the other guy said that he did. And then you just kind of, now granted, there should be a method to every madness. And some people have more of a logical method behind what they do. But at the same time, there's a lot of guesswork involved. Like you can't rely on empirical data because there is no empirical data. I mean, let's face it, like it is what it is. So you got to take it with a grain of salt, like, and even as experienced as a coach may be, like he may not get it right, and that's the risk that you take, being in a realm that there's, it's like, it's the elephant in the room, that you can't really talk about.
It's there, and everyone knows it's there, but nobody discusses it or wants to. Which to each their own. I
think that if you use a coach's results as credential, right, and the sort of feedback that you hear from a lot of his clients, not just in terms of the way they look on stage, but also how they feel afterwards, because you may have a coach that will get somebody shredded to the bone and then they may be so burnt out that they're not going to compete ever again, So again, it's really case by case basis, I think. And aside from knowledge, when it comes to finding the right coach for you, it also has to do with how you connect with that person. If you feel like you could trust them, if you feel like they care about you, even if they have 60 other clients. Some coaches are so good at what they do, and I'll plug in a perfect example. I've been working with Matt Jansen for going on 3 years now, and
who I've heard nothing but good things about.
Yeah, he, like, no matter who you are, you feel like he cares about you, and that matters,
this person technically does have a stake in you, because it's their reputation on the line when you step on that stage. It's not just you.
Yeah, I think it's a little more than just that, because that would come from a selfish point of view, like, like he better do well, because otherwise, that's why I care, because he's going to do well and he's going to represent me. It should be a little more than that. It should just be because, look, here's somebody that has a goal that they want to pursue, and he chose to hire me to help him in that process. So I'm going to give him his best value, and I'm going to care about that process and how he goes through it, Not so much about like how you end up doing, because that's
I don't want to come off as that's the only reason. I mean that as well in a it's almost like a portfolio after a while as well too.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say.
That's what Chris Aceto prided himself on for a long time with the athletes that he worked with and the big names and this and that.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily saying that he's a bad or a great coach.
Yeah.
I think he kind of can be right in the middle from what I've heard and seen.
Yeah.
But I don't think he took that personal approach as a Matt Jensen from what I've experienced from people that have worked with him.
Yeah.
Somebody like that, I feel, has that portfolio in mind.
Yeah. Like they're exactly. They're fully invested.
Seems like a very nice guy. I met him when he was working with Arash. Very nice guy.
Yeah.
I have nothing against him.
Yeah.
I think he's he didn't do anything to me, but I feel like when you start working with that many athletes and your name.
I don't think he worked with Arash.
Yeah.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Went out with 2017.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You know what?
He came to the room. He looked him over, and that was the first time I ever met him.
I see. Okay.
Somebody who still loves what they do is going to care for every single person they work with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If somebody's going through the motions and they're not liking it anymore, then they're not going to care. It's going to be a paycheck. But when somebody's truly invested, not necessarily in success, but in your mentality. Are you happy? Are you achieving your goals? Are you having a good time? Are we on a good page here? Then that's somebody who really cares.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you work with Dr. Camp, who I love.
Oh, yeah.
I love Mike Camp.
Mike Camp.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even, I don't even have the words to talk about him.
He's phenomenal, man. I want to get him on the podcast. He's just not only is he, at least from my experiences with him, but not only is he a fountain of knowledge, but he's a pleasant person to be around.
He's a good guy.
Knowledge, that of course. But like when I think of Mike Camp, the one word that comes to mind is integrity. That man is a man of integrity. And, I've gotten to know him very well. I mean, we've been working together now since, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years. And, Sadiq joined in probably a year after I started working with him when he decided to switch over to Classic. And actually, he had been working with him prior to that, for a little period. And then he sort of just did his own thing. And, the three of us just have this.
He kills you guys, man.
Yeah. Well, we just we come to the gym and we go there to work. We don't go. I mean, we might take video and stuff, but that's you have to do that. But it doesn't take away from the intensity of each workout.
Yeah, I was watching you guys on the sideline the other day.
Yeah,
I was in the back. You were doing legs.
That was yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I was training some calves. You guys are killing some leg press, and it's not an easy workout. You're all busting your ass.
These two look like they jump out of a pool.
I know.
Oh yeah,
I know.
It's crazy.
It's not a pretty sight.
No,
yeah.
but you know what? That's okay. You
takes.
got the fucking work done, man.
Yeah. Mike is awesome. And I've learned a lot of from him too, and I really admire him, not just as a strength and conditioning coach, but as a business owner. He owns his own physical therapy practice. As a teacher, he's
over at Hofstra too.
He teaches at Hofstra, and before that, he taught at I forget, a different school in Brooklyn. And as a family man,
father and husband.
My God, I can't even tell you. Like he will never, under any circumstance, put anything else above his daughters. If his daughters have a game, he'll. They're very athletic too. They both. I think the younger one plays soccer, the older one plays softball, and he will attend every single game. Sometimes almost every single practice. I mean, he's so invested in being a father to them. And that to me, that is such a amazing example. And I hope that. When I will be a father, I will come close to the kind of father that he is. And, that's what I realized too, if you find people like that, nurture that relationship, because there's a lot to learn there, and I'm lucky to have him as not just somebody that I work with, but, he has become a friend as well. We could talk about things. Yeah.
I had one of my ex-girlfriends. She hurt herself training with me one time, shoulder, and she was in so much pain. She was crying, and I didn't know what to do. So I hit Mike up. It was 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. I said, Mike, I don't know what to do, man. I know how crazy you guys are over at your place. I said, and I know how long your wait is. Sometimes he's a month out.
Oh yeah,
easy.
Yeah.
And he's just bring her in tomorrow, 7 a.m. Bring her in. Brought her in, worked on her. She felt unbelievably better, and just. The fact that he squeezed me in his already stacked schedule and took the time because she wasn't feeling good, that meant the world to me.
Yep. And he could have easily said, nope, sorry. Just
sorry, make an appointment.
Call the office. Yeah, but he's not like that,
You know what? That's integrity.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. But you should definitely talk to him. Get him
I want
on
to.
next.
Yeah. I want to.
He'll blow everybody away with all the information that he has and just the knowledge and life experience, and absolutely.
We have my buddy Anthony coming on Friday.
Oh, okay.
We have my buddy Anthony coming on Friday. He's a PT, but he also is deep in the powerlifting world. So I think that'll be cool to hear that perspective, because we don't know shit about powerlifting.
Yeah.
It's a different world.
It's a totally different world.
Different world.
Yeah, so I want to know from an injury perspective, from a training and what they're doing. I'm still trying to get Meadows on when he comes back in town. John's another one. John's another wealth of knowledge, amazing person, and family guy. On the weekends, don't hit. football season.
Yeah.
My boys are playing.
Yeah.
He's like, if it's not an emergency, don't hit me up.
Yep. Better be an emergency.
I admire him. Yeah, I've listened to some interviews with him, and yeah, it's really made me realize like what a just great guy he is. You know,
dude.
not just within what he does, but like you said, you know, he is a family man, and yeah, great business.
Unbelievable,
sense of
granted,
business,
and everything.
yeah.
And with Iron Rebel.
Yeah.
But he, I'll give a great example of John, which blew my mind, and I have the utmost respect for him ever since then. I was new into shooting.
Mm-hmm.
I was a fan of John since 2012. Like, I saw a video of him at the grocery store with Antoine Vaillant, and they were going around Whole Foods.
I think I may have watched
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
They were going
videos.
out to Trader Joe's, and John was saying why he doesn't like this, why he likes that.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I just went, oh, shit, this guy really knows his shit. Oh, really smart guy, methodical in what he's doing. And I just admired that about him, and he just seemed like a genuine person. And then I'd watch the videos of them training at Elite FTS and just going balls to the wall with their training, and it made me feel some kind of way. I just felt, oh, shit, that's the way I want to train and just be about my training.
Yeah.
So then I started mountain dog workouts and stuff like that. So then years later, when I started getting into filming, and we were friendly on Instagram, and he says, hey, Nick, hits me up. He's like, Nick, I'm going to be in town, and I'd love for you to film me. I'm just like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, this guy was like somebody, an idol of mine. It was unbelievable. So he
Yeah.
came into town. We agreed upon a price, which was very moderate because I'm so new in it,
Yeah.
and I still need that experience.
Yeah.
So I was the one who pitched that to him, and he said, totally fine. I wound up spending like 2 times the amount of time with him, just in terms of being back at his hotel room, filming content back at him at breakfast, and then he did like an appearance at Total Nutrition for Granite, and then I did 2 training sessions, and he flew home, and they said, hey, I'm going to give you a call on Monday, because he left Sunday. I said,
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a call Monday night when I get settled, everything like that, after a day. Okay. Hits me up. He's like, hey, Nick, so just right off the bat, I just want to get out of the way. He goes, I owe you X. And it was like 3 to 4 times the amount that we had negotiated. And I said, whoa, no. I said, we discussed this price. And he says, he's like, you were with me the whole weekend. He's like, you drove me to the airport. He's like, I can't thank you enough for spending the extra time and really being there for me. He's like, so I'm going to pay you that.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, people, you never get that anymore. You never get people that understand how much work goes into it. And they really understand like what you do isn't just pointing something at somebody, and just to have somebody kind of appreciate it and go, nah, I get that we said that, but I got you on this. And I was like, fuck, man, like good ass dude. And ever since then, I have had 0 bad experiences with John.
Yeah.
Nothing. And that's why I only work with people that I have I've only had good experiences with you.
Likewise, yeah.
It's like I don't want to work with people that are going to be stressful to me.
Yeah.
People that respect me and the craft and the artwork that I put into and the time, and just understand that this is a partnership, not only in work, but emotionally, because I'm looking at your face for hours editing your video. So I got to like who I'm looking at. I can't just pretend again. The transparency. So John is just an unbelievable fucking person.
Yeah.
I really can't wait to get him in. I think he comes in January for something, so I may try to steal him away for an hour or 2.
Well, you know, what comes to mind with you telling that story about John is grateful. You know, he was grateful for going above and beyond what you had said that you would do without expecting anything more. And he was aware of that, and he wanted to show his gratitude by paying you 3 times the amount. So it's rare that people have that sense of gratitude and are willing to give something in return for having received more value than they even thought they would.
Yeah,
So,
it was one of the highlights for me. It was just like, wow, man.
Yeah.
So there are some good fucking people, because
I
deal with ups and downs, as every business does, of dealing with people who don't appreciate the work and don't appreciate the time, and it's very disheartening when that happens. But you have to remind yourself of the really good people that you get to work with.
And there's a lot of them.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them. There was a lot of
Definitely.
them.
There's
Yes.
a lot of
There's
them.
more good than bad.
Yes.
That's the preface I want to make on here.
Yes.
I've had
I agree.
I've had way more good experiences with clients and people than I've had with bad.
Yeah.
It's almost human tendency sometimes that we have to train ourselves to not let the bad overtake the good.
Yeah. And even with the bad, you know, they're not bad people. Like, bad people are not bad people. They have just had bad experiences that made them a certain way and they just project that negativity in return because that's how they feel about themselves. So it has nothing to do with you, what you do, or really even with them. It's just unfortunate that they're in this space where, whether it's jadedness or whatever you may want to call it, they just can't get out of it. And unfortunately, that affects other people. And then sometimes it turns the other people into jaded people because of those experiences. So, yeah, it's, there's something that I learned, not too long ago. And it's that when you do something good to somebody, it's that much better than you even think it is. And at the same time, when you do something bad to somebody, it's that much worse than you think it is.
An amplification.
Oh, yeah. And it could be as little as like, and I've been trying to like really be aware of this. It could be as little as like saying hello to somebody, and like smiling at them, not because, for any reason, just because they're there next to you, that little interaction, let's say they're going through something, you send a positive energy to them that affects them, even if it's like in a subconscious way where like now they may spark like, oh, all right, like today's not that bad, they go back to the car and, they go about their day. Now, instead, if like, let's say they bump into you and you're like, oh, what the fuck, or like you cut them off in line at the grocery store or something, and if they're already having a bad day, that's going to make their day that much worse, again, in a subconscious way.
Emotions start
it's like,
spiraling.
it's going to amplify, and then they go to work, then they're a complete jerk to their employees, and then their employees react a certain way, then they go home to their wife, and then before you know, he cheats on his wife, and then it's like,
and then we're talking about it on a podcast.
And then we're like, hey.
But it's true that it really could be that extreme, and if we all try to be aware of how little small positive gestures could go such a long way, that if you do it on a consistent basis every day, just think about how many people you could affect,
Yeah, I try to do I try to do my part as a human being.
Yeah.
Try to I would and not to stroke my own ego and stroke myself, but like I was walking into Whole Foods like a week ago.
Yeah.
Pick up a couple things, and outside they had a food drive. And you know what I said? I never donate anything. So I just bought a couple cans. It was $5. It was $5 fucking dollars.
Yeah, who cares?
I bought. I walked out, and I started giving a couple cans to the woman. And she's like, "Oh my god, thank you." And she goes, "Oh, this is all for us?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I don't know if I bought the right stuff." I said, "I got corn and different things. I didn't know if canned food really meant you just need canned food." I was like, "I never really done this before."
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh my god." I said, "Yeah, maybe that makes a difference for somebody on Thanksgiving, or who knows?" Like, I got $5 to spare for somebody that doesn't have anything. Maybe that creates a ripple effect where that person eats the food and they go, holy shit, people are good.
It absolutely does. In my experience with you, I have to say, I have never run into you at the gym or anywhere where I have not gotten this like ecstatic, like, Vlad, what up? Like you just have such a like positive energy about, and like an overabundance of energy that regardless of how I may have felt, if I may have been down or like tired because of, I just went through this crazy workout with
Mike.
I want to go throw up.
He's dragging himself to the front.
You just like emit this like, so thank you for that. Just know that it's,
hey man, I try.
Know that it's noticed. So
appreciate it.
Even if somebody doesn't say anything to you, just keep being that way,
I appreciate that, man. I try.
Sorry, John, I didn't mean to.
No, it's fine. It's even the little things, like when I go to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, I'll never go through a drive-thru anywhere. I'll always go inside, make sure, hey man, what's going on? How's your day? Just try to liven them up a little bit.
Yeah.
Just make somebody feel like, well, like we talk about on the podcast. They're right there with us, and they matter as much as the next guy, because everybody really does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I pulled my car over before, and I said, Happy Thanksgiving to the UPS driver. I don't even know who he is, but I know he's out there slinging packages and back-breaking work all day, and maybe people don't appreciate him, and they expect him to just put the package down and just walk away. So I said, hey man, hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. He's like, thanks bro, I appreciate it. I was like, fuck yeah, dude.
Just tell somebody they have a nice hat. Anybody, you know what I mean?
Man.
You're Dunkin' Donuts, I like your shirt. Even I like your shirt. Oh, thank you. All right.
You know that?
Fuck yeah.
You know what? I went to a barber today. Okay, listen. Well, I went to my barber today, and I got laced up with the finest. Thank you, Gold Coast. Send the check. But But I forgot my keys. Long story short, I forgot my office keys, attached to my regular car keys with my buddy over the weekend. So I've been using my spare key since then. So he's had my keys, but I haven't had to come to the office since then. So today I drive over here and I walk and I pull up and I go, fuck, I don't have the office key. So I hit him up. He's like, I'm at the barber. I walk in, I drive all the way East Meadow and I walk in and I'm just like, I'm looking for my buddy Sam. I said, I don't know, I didn't see him and he wasn't answering me, but meanwhile he was in the last chair. And one of the guys goes, you could get a haircut, bro. Like, to me. Like sitting there, I said, "Yeah, I know. Is that your way of like telling me that you're gonna cut my hair?" Real jackass way to say that. I said, "I go to my guy. Thank you."
Yeah.
I was like, "Fuck! I'm just here to pick up my keys. I'm getting berated that I don't have a haircut. Holy shit!" I said, "Give me the keys because I gotta leave. I gotta leave. It's a long day already." But yes, Thanksgiving. Gotta be nice. Don't be telling people they need haircuts. All right? They got appointments.
That'd be like you going to the gym and going to some kid, and be like, you could use some filtered shots,
Wait, John, what filter?
Ooh, the Valencia filter.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the only one I know.
That's a good one. That's a good one, yeah.
And the black and white, but that one sounds sexier.
Are you gonna be at the gym tomorrow? You train tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Oh, you said you're doing your client at 10.
I am, and actually, speaking of like gratitude and all this stuff, so I've always like thought like around Thanksgiving time, like I always said to myself, I would like to like donate my time somehow, like homeless shelter or something, And even though I always said that, it'd be like, I never did anything about it. I never researched it.
The execution didn't go through.
Say it, because it's like, all right, well, where the hell do you go? What do you do? So now, I have a meal sponsor, Salsa Fit, based out of, they have a couple different retail locations.
Wait, what's the name? I just want to make sure we get it.
Salsa Fit.
Okay.
Yeah, and they have a retail location in Newark, and I spoke with the owner, and I said, hey, listen, would you be interested in organizing something? And Newark is like inner city, so they have stuff like that. And he said, yeah, absolutely. Like we'll make whatever it is, like cold sandwiches, wraps. We'll bring other things. And so tomorrow we're meeting up at 6 a.m. At the place there in Newark, and we're gonna go to a homeless shelter. And just kind of.
That's awesome.
That's great, man.
So I'm going to do that.
Kudos to you and them for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's one thing to think something, and it's another thing to act on it. And I've been guilty of thinking of a lot of good things, but never actually acting on it. So now I'm like so proactive, and just if I think of something, like even with with what we're doing, I would always like put that off. I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. So as soon as I got the idea, I text you right away, and then I was adamant about talking on the phone and figuring it out. And like, no, we gotta meet. Holding
yourself accountable.
Yeah. So yeah. I don't know where I was going with that, but
no, that's all. You say gratitude with
gratitude,
especially around Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I've mentioned a couple times. I make sure anybody that doesn't have a seat at a Thanksgiving table, like especially my close friends.
Yeah.
If you want to come through, have a drink, eat, come through and hang out. I know Steve Peoples is always welcome at my house, and he comes through. He came through for last Christmas. I think he's going to come for this Christmas too.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, I want everyone to feel like family.
Yeah,
like that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. Listen, I got a short fuse for like dumb shit sometimes, and I have to reset myself and just go, okay, relax.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that big a deal. But I remind myself what my mom says, which is we're all just trying to do our best every single day. Everyone's just trying to do their best. And if someone does something stupid, okay, it is what it is. Just like, as long as they didn't murder somebody, like,
right.
just be more understanding. And I've definitely taken a step back in that mentality and tried to be, and have been, especially over the last 6 to 8 months. It's just, it's changed the perception and how you actually act day to day.
It does.
I was listening to, it was an interview with, what's his name? The guy who plays Forrest Gump. Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks. He was talking about playing Mr. Rogers and how it was like a terrifying role for him because he had to embody this complete idol where people see him as so different.
Yeah.
But he was talking about why he would never understand or play an evil role. He goes, he would love to play a Shakespearean evil bad guy role where there's genuine motive there, where you can understand how this person got to be this way. Where if you look at the new Joker movie, you understand, well, shit, I get why he's the way he is. He went through all of this shit, and you know what? This is where his motive comes from. There's something wrong.
Yeah.
But he could never justify playing an evil villain like a James Bond, where for whatever reason you want to kill everybody, and there's no particular reason how or why, but let me show you around the facility before I do it. You know, it's understanding that even from a cinema standpoint, the bad guys that have a reason to be bad, they don't really think they are. They're just going through what has happened to them.
Yeah.
You know, they're going through their shit, and, you know, maybe they just needed somebody to talk to.
Well, it's a story that they are living out.
A progression.
Yeah.
It's a narrative.
The heroes have their progression, the villains have their progression,
exactly.
and what causes them to act that way.
Yeah.
But it's better to start looking at people in situations that, okay, you know what? Something clearly happened to you why you're being like this. There's something wrong. Not, oh, you're always just an asshole. Well, maybe there's something wrong. Maybe you had a real shitty day.
Yeah.
Something happened. You know, you were running late for work, got into an accident on the way over here, and you don't want to talk about it. Now you're giving everybody an attitude.
Yeah. Or maybe, like, who knows what happened to you?
Yeah,
you know?
who knows?
This past weekend, I have the privilege to be in this workshop that I mentioned earlier, where it was me and 48 other people. And part of it, you know, was sharing things about yourself. And we did it within different sort of exercises, right? And you come to realize, like, how judgmental we are of other people without realizing who they really are, you know, and the fact that, like, we're more alike than different. You know, we may look different, we may think differently, but within, like, our human experience, we are very similar. We are actually the same. We are all the same, you know, in that sense. You know, that's why, like, they always say, like, you know, the cliche, like, oh, you know, in a coffin, you're like,
the same.
Yeah,
same, right?
Doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, it's true. Like, you know, we all have a, like, human connection, you know, that we often neglect, and we don't realize that we have, you know, because we're so stuck in, like, oh, like, I'm me,
Our ways and our mentality.
Like, I don't like you, and I don't like the way you dress, and I don't like this, and, you know, and it takes away from, like, really just seeing each other for who we are.
Humanity.
Yeah, you know, like, there was one exercise we did, right, where this is in the very beginning, where we would sit across from each other, and we were told to stare into each other's eyes. And this is with complete strangers that you just met. And you realize how awkward it is to do that with a stranger, and uncomfortable, you know? And then once you sort of, like, get a little bit past it, you know, you're looking into this person's eyes, and you, like, begin either smiling or you may even get triggered and kind of feel, you know, that uncomfortable feeling may actually bring, like, some negative emotions out of you, you know, because you're like, oh, like, this person is seeing me now, like, oh my God, you know, and then you're like, I don't like who I am, and they're seeing me for who I am, you know? So it's a very, like, powerful exercise, and, like, it made me think, like, yeah, like, you should practice that a little more. Like, when you talk to somebody, like, look at them in the eye, you know? So there's a lot of things like that if we were to practice and just be aware of, like, we would just have such a better world.
It's, you know what, whenever I go to the city, for example, if you look at a crowded Times Square, if you look at New Year's Eve Times Square, you see, you know, thousands of people there. You just see thousands of people.
Yeah.
But what's crazy is every single person there has their own life, their own family, their own jobs, their own... You look at the angriest person you have ever met, right? And I bet you he goes cuddles up with his puppy at home and, like, nothing's ever happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Every single person, every single head you see over somebody else's shoulders is this completely different being.
Yeah.
You know? But the weird thing is, too, is everybody says, oh, well, I'm so different than you. I'm better than all of you because of this. I'm better than you because of all this. But even with my training and my philosophies, I take everything back to an evolutionary standpoint. Now, evolutionarily speaking, humans are at the bottom of the food chain, and we're not that good. We're not that strong. We have no armor. We have no fur. We have nothing to really defend us.
Yeah.
But we survived because we were together. We survived as
Well, also because of our cognitive abilities.
But that allowed us to be a well-developed social society.
Right.
So, of course, the intelligence.
Well, I don't know. To be honest, a lot of different species have a very strong social system within their species.
Confines.
Within their confines. So I don't know.
But they're still around today.
Yeah.
Right. But we just happen to have the extra brain power to get
That's
up
what
higher.
I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm just talking about surviving the elements way back when.
Mm-hmm.
If we didn't have each other, we would have been screwed.
Yeah.
Because the smartest man would have been eaten by one thing he was trying to hunt or not gotten food.
Yeah.
Back in the day. So that society kept us alive where we could flourish, where we could develop new things and learn new technologies. So as different as we all are, when you look at all these heads in Manhattan, you're starting to realize that if you zoom out in Google Maps, this whole thing, all of Manhattan, all of the whole world wouldn't work together if we weren't one big society.
Mm-hmm.
So to think that you're different from me, I'm different from you, we're all going through this, we're all on the exact same planet. We're all going through things. Not everybody's having a good day. Some people won the lottery that shouldn't. Some people got a bad hand that shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But we just got to help and be as good as we possibly can to everybody.
Yeah.
And sometimes the holiday season's a good day to reflect upon that a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
And just whether you're wealthy or not wealthy, what's the word for it? I guess whether you have more going for you or not, you got to realize.
More abundant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess something like that. Just take a step back and realize, I'm grateful for this.
Yeah. Instead of thinking about like stuff in your face, like, which is fine.
Yeah.
You should enjoy that. But also think like what's somebody else going to eat today?
Or how about they can't afford dinner and I'm about to go out on Black Friday, beat a lady up for a TV.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Like what else
it's
can
wild
you do?
out
what
there.
Can you do with that? Yeah. Yeah. That's true. I remember what I was going with the Thanksgiving story because you asked me if I'm training tomorrow. And whereas normally, God forbid, I missed a freaking workout, I am going to miss my workout tomorrow because one, I'm going to be there in the morning. Then afterwards, I'm going to see my client. And then after that, I have to get ready and I'm going to be with my family,
Yeah.
And the biggest part about that and the biggest message is it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay
fine.
to miss that.
Fine.
It's okay to miss that workout.
Yeah. I'm going to train Friday. It's okay. My body's not going to go away,
Yeah.
But I'm really like glad and thankful that I can make decisions like that now.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the past, I was so stuck in this mindset where like, no, you cannot. Like you have to. It was like feeling like I was missing out on something if I wasn't doing it. So
it's a mind shift. It's development. Honestly, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You're in the process of not, I wouldn't say taking your flaws, but taking the parts of you that are root causes for other issues, larger issues, and fixing them and giving yourself the information and knowledge and baseline to be better.
Yeah.
So you're taking the initial steps and going further at this point than most people ever do, instead of just saying, fuck it, this is how I am. So seriously, it's very hard to do that, and you're out here doing it.
It's very hard, and sometimes it's not pleasant either. A lot of people don't realize that like transformational work and like this whole like, whether you want to call it like a spiritual like awakening or mindfulness. It's not about like doing yoga and reading self-help books and like,
Magic rocks,
going to Whole Foods. I mean that could be it too, but
it's not the full picture.
It's actually very difficult. Like not to keep talking about this workshop, and I'm sorry if it's like redundant.
If anything, it's a good example of what we're talking about, where people who aren't sure of what they want to do need to go either speak with somebody or go to workshops, experience new things.
And before you mention this part of the workshop, if I can say, if people are interested in doing some of these workshops, what is your information so they can maybe reach out to you and you can recommend some?
Right. I mean, you could reach out to me on my Instagram. And I'll give you all the information. I even made a post yesterday about it and reflecting about my experience there over the weekend. So yeah,
what's your Instagram?
Just at Vlad Petric.
VLAD
PETRIC.
Cool. Just want to make sure, just in case for audio listeners.
Simple,
but we'll have the information in the actual.
Not at IFBB Pro Vlad Petric.
No.
Nope.
I might change my name to IFBB Pro Nicky Rizzles and just get a fake one made up.
not to digress, but it's funny when I got my pro card, somebody asked me, like you're gonna change your name to IFBB Pro Vlad Petric, And I said, no, I never had the intention to do that because I'll write it in my bio, but I'm still me. Like, I'm not like, yeah, I am an IFBB Pro, but that's like just part of like
the overall picture of who Vlad is.
Yeah. Like, and that's actually, it's funny because that was a conversation I had with Sadiq as well. Like, he doesn't have that in his profile, you know, or in his name, you know, and a lot of other people don't either, you know. Like, do you see at IFBB Pro Jay Cutler? No, it's Jay Cutler.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
It's Phil Heath, you know. So that says a lot about like their perception of who they are. But
the workshop.
Going back to the workshop, and my experience there. Oh, I forgot. See, now I digress.
Sorry.
And I completely forgot what example I was trying to give. What were we talking about before that?
What were we talking about before that?
Gratefulness and...
I don't know. It's going to come back to me.
Holy shit. We talk about so much that it kind of blurs the line sometimes.
I know whenever somebody's like, oh, what'd you guys talk about on the podcast? And I go, well, it was 2 hours long.
Yeah.
It was long, and we talked about a lot.
Yeah, then I'll be like...
I re-listened to them.
Me too. Then I'll listen. I'm like, oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, shit, we did touch on that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this is very special to me because this is actually my first podcast.
Woo!
Ooh, there you go.
Let's go.
And it's very special to me.
Yeah,
So,
hit the voice up
There you
first.
go.
For popping my cherry.
Oh, of course. Listen, man. Were we delicate?
Very, very gentle.
See? We have great hands.
There you go.
And you know, I actually plan on delving into some of that myself, you know, and that's something that I spoke to you about. You know, it's a concept that I came up with a little while ago, and again, it was something that I thought of, and I'd be like, hey, I'm gonna do it, and then I would just sort of put it off. But now I'm in a place where like I'm intentional about it, and I want to, you know, be proactive about setting it forth. So it's called the Mind Muscle Connection, and you know, you see the double like entendre.
The foreshadowing.
Yeah. So it you know, it's kind of like connecting, you know, between like the fitness aspect of it, but then also the intellectual aspect of it, and delving deeper into, you know, similar to what we discussed here in a way, but you know, focusing on the why, like the, you know, not so much the destination, but the process. You know, the journey, you know, like, and the background to the journey, you know.
Which is important.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of times people talk specifics, but they don't talk underlying aspects of those specifics.
Which is very important.
Yeah. So that's my intention with that, and that's going to be coming forth. And not to spill the beans, but, you know, Sadiq is actually going to be my first guest, and he actually volunteered, you know, and I'm very grateful for that too, because prior to even saying anything, he said, and it was actually a conversation we had yesterday. He said, Vlad, I'm going to volunteer to be your first guest. And, you know, that really meant like so much to me because I had the intention to ask him and I didn't even have to. And he said, I'm going to help you promote it, and whatever it takes, like, I know you're going to be successful with it.
It's awesome.
But you know, that comes down to integrity again. He's a good, genuine dude.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And we've gotten a lot closer. You know, in the beginning, you know, I've known him a long time, and we actually met when I had my first show. He competed in that 2012 Atlantic States.
Oh, damn.
So it goes way back. And then he got his pro card later on.
Is that the one that Mike Kelly competed in too?
Maybe.
Because I was at that one.
Yeah, I'm sure probably.
Yeah, but that was like the first one. That was like the only one I went to,
Yeah,
just because I wanted to see what it was going to look like when I did a show a year later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, we you know, and then, you know, we were training partners. We see each other every day. We talk about stuff, but like more so as of late, we've gotten a lot closer. And you know, having gone to his wedding and experiencing that, you know, and being there, and you know, we've gone out together a couple times this past year, and yeah, you know, we just bonded a little more. And,
that's awesome.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, you have to do that. You know, like sometimes we get used to like whether it's working relationships or you know, anything else, like somebody that you may interact with on a daily basis, but not on a deeper level. Try like going outside of that enviment. You know, maybe get a drink or
John,
whatever. You know,
John, you coming out tonight? I'm getting wild. You're gonna look at. You're gonna look at.
I hope it's Patron.
No, it's gonna be a lot of it. You're gonna look at me so different if you come out with me tonight. It's about to get wild after this. Oh my goodness! It is Thanksgiving Eve, man. I have to have a little bit of fun. I don't do much.
Yeah,
there you go.
Of course, yeah.
But
and it's okay. Everybody, it's okay.
It is okay.
It's okay.
Enjoy yourselves a little bit.
And guess what? No matter how wild I get tonight, I will be at the gym tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I got to train before I engorge myself because
that's fine too.
And that's great.
That's fine too.
I have a wedding on Saturday, so I got to be able to fit in my suit.
Yeah.
Responsibly without my love handle shooting the buttons out.
But if they shoot out, it's fine too.
I think I'll draw the line there.
All right.
If they start shooting out, then I really got to up this cardio game.
Well, it depends if he takes off the suit for somebody, you know.
Hey,
there you go.
Listen, I do have a hotel room, and I did just get freshly lined up, so anything is possible. We have Tame the Beast for Vlad. Like I said in the last episode, we're going to actually do a giveaway for people that are listening. Awesome. But we're going to give Vlad, I believe we're giving you the extreme Tame the Beast because you're an extreme individual.
I am.
I want to make sure that the actual male products emanate the same amplitude that you do. So, like I said last time, Tame the Beast was nice enough to give us some of these products to give away to guests and listeners of the show. I'm really interested to see the balls, the beast balls, because I know we got a lot of listeners that have some stinky ass gym bags, and that's supposed to gym. You just throw them in.
I'm one of those people.
Listen, so I'll have to get more for you.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
so we'll be giving out the extreme nut butter for Vlad, and you could use it on more places than just your nether region. So you can use it on thighs and chest.
All right.
But what fun is that?
Yeah, but what fun is that? You want the tingle where the sun don't shine.
Right.
But so thank you, Tame the Beast, and I'm gonna have John kick this outro for us.
Go ahead, John.
So, thank you everybody for tuning into this week's episode of The Voice
and Rizzles, joined by none other than
Vlad Petric.
Boom.